to force a Game 6. Game 6 will be tomorrow night back in Houston. Kevin Durant will still not play, though, working with that ankle injury. Houston is a 3.5-point favorite. The sport's been sponsored by the San Diego International Airport.
We will start from the beginning.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
Those goofy bastards are just about the best thing I've got going in this crazy world.
The studios of San Diego Sports 760 in the zone with Fletcher and Sammy.
Yeah, let's get it going on a Thursday. What's happening, everybody? Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. Sammy will keep it going for about another hour after that from 2 to 3. Schaefer and Sliwa will be your afternoon drive home. Lakers series extended, so we'll have another Lakers game coming up tomorrow night here on San Diego Sports 760. This weekend, we got some soccer action with SDFC taking on LAFC. That game gets going 6 o'clock Saturday night right here on San Diego Sports 760. In fact, we will have a special guest coming up in hour number 2 to talk about that match, and it's going to be a big one. But right now, we are out, kind of. I'm in San Diego. Sammy Long is out in Las Vegas. Sammy, tell me how much money we're up. $5 million?
We actually did have a successful night gambling. So I was very frustrated, got in, the Lakers lost, and then I went to the tables, and the craps table was kind to us at the MGM. Made about $220 on night one, so hopefully we can keep that up.
And where are you at right now? Where I know you were just doing some interviews with a bunch of boxers. Where are you guys set up?
We are in the MGM Grand Ballroom. If I could show everybody, I don't want to mess up on my equipment, but basically the presser for Benavidez and Zurdo right in front of us. They're going to get going here in about 30 minutes. So hopefully we get some fireworks at the presser. And David Benavidez will be stopping by on my show at 2:20 today, the cruiserweight champion of the world. Are
you going to be able to maybe interfere if there is a little bit of a skerfuffle at the weigh-ins and the press conferences and people start throwing haymakers?
I'm luckily way in the back, so if there's a fight that breaks out, I will not be caught in the crosshairs.
Well, Sammy's out in Vegas. I'm back in San Diego, and we'll be talking lots about the Padres, the 3-game series that was against the Chicago Cubs, the disappointment that it came down to yesterday. We will talk about the Lakers maybe punting away a really good chance, and if whether or not Lakers fans should be in panic mode at this point. And then Coach Kentera will be here for his weekly appointment coming up in hour number 2. We also have more Motley Crue tickets for you that will be given out at some point in the next 2 hours of today's show. So stay tuned for all of that. All right, Padres lose yesterday. They lose game 3. It was the rubber match. You saw some power from a couple of Padres, which was nice to see, but they don't do enough to get it done. Pete Crow Armstrong was the Padre killer in this series. And just another day where you feel like the pitching actually gave the Padres a chance. And then the 9th inning, Fernando Tatis Jr. gets a nice little it was a sac fly out to center field. You feel like a little more power from Tatis. That could have been a home run ball. And then Manny Machado grounds into the game-ending double play. Disappointing stretch, 2 out of 3 losses for the Cubs Padres series. We'll see if they can get back on track. Day off today, get back going over the weekend. But Sammy, kind of like overall, you feel like you wanted to see the Padres do a little more against some top-end talent in the National League.
Yeah, it felt like it was a little bit of a bummer because we're heading into the series, and there's been a lot of national criticism, I think, of people who aren't watching the Padres every night, looking at the metrics, and well, they don't rank. They're in the middle of the pack in terms of runs, and the power statistics aren't necessarily there, but they're winning ball games, and it kind of came with a caveat because you're talking about a couple series against the Rockies, playing against Arizona and Mexico City. I mean, there's been some caveats for the Padres haters. And it felt like a Cubs team, despite the fact that we're coming off a series loss to the Dodgers, had won 10 straight heading into that Saturday game against LA. And then you come out, you win game 1, and it's because of the bats. I mean, it was so exciting when they came out and won, not because of a great pitching performance, but because the bats really came alive. You do feel like the Padres are still going to be getting a little bit of doubt from the national media because when you stepped up and played a team in the Chicago Cubs, not that they were that much better than you, but they did come into Petco Park and win the series. And you mentioned it. I mean, to have that really set up with Tatis and Machado, to kind of win the series, and the two guys have struggled all year, and yet they don't come through on the Machado end. Definitely was a disappointing end to the series.
Good to see Tatis come through, although it would have been nice if that ball went about 20 more feet. Manny Machado, though, it is rough when that's how the game ends, and it's with Manny Machado, your guy. Good to see Nick Castellanos go boom. We actually talked about that yesterday, that Nick Castellanos had a little bit of career ownage over Jameson Taillon, so it was nice to see him have the big hit. But really, what I look at in that game was Matt Waldron gives you 6 innings, only gives up 3 runs. And I know only is kind of a crazy thing to say, but yeah, only gives up 3 runs in 5 innings of work. You feel like that's an opportunity that you have to take advantage of, because who knows how many times Matt Waldron is going to give you that kind of performance. Padres don't get it done yesterday. They get the nice little day off today and then back in action over the weekend. Still at Petco Park. I do know tonight there's some like fancy festivities heading down at Petco Park tonight. Lauren Hill is going to be performing at Gallagher Square. Yeah, she like hardly ever performs, but she'll be out there at Gallagher Square tonight for some big Padres fancy schmancy dinner that probably costs a couple $1,000s a plate. But then the White Sox are going to be in town for a weekend series against the Pods. So you have the Cubbies in town this week. Chicago fans can just stay over, although I'm not sure there's a bunch of crossover between Cubs and White Sox fans. Do they hate each other, Cubbies and White Sox?
I mean, the White Sox have been bad for so long. I guess the Cubs, before they won the World Series, that I don't know if you could really call that like hate in between.
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
like
if someone's from Chicago, we'd love to hear from you on the text line.
Is it a little bit like a Lakers Clippers thing? I truly don't know the answer to this.
That's what it'd feel like. Because I'm well, to be fair, Lakers fans hate Clipper fans hate Laker fans. But I mean, if you're a White Sox fan, what do you have to chirp about? Really?
What do you even have that's good in your life? Nothing.
Yeah.
All right. It is San Diego Sports 760. Motley Crue tickets will be here before you know it, so stay tuned for that. This is the time in the show where Sammy Long rips through some of the top stories in the world of sports on YouTube. We are up at San Diego Sports 760, X at Fletch and Sammy. You can find us there. Sammy, let's go ahead and smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
All right, Sammy, you're out in Vegas. What are some of the big stories going on?
All right, we're going to get to the Lakers disaster class in a few minutes. But we have a lot to get to it there. But in the NBA within it, Draymond Green went on his podcast and was talking about possibly Steve Kerr retiring, not being back with the Golden State Warriors. He said, quote, "As much as he's done for me in basketball, a part of me thinks he hindered me in my career and what I could have become. But what he's also helped me become, like, you got to take the good with the bad, man." Do we like this from Draymond Green, kind of calling out his coach, saying that he limited him as a player with his time with the Golden State Warriors?
How many championships does great Draymond Green have? He would have 4. That's right.
4.
This is astonishing to me. I would say Draymond Green has had one of the most successful Draymond Green type player careers ever. I wonder, is he trying to say that on any other team he could have been a 1 or a 2? Because I don't think that's his game, and I don't think that could ever be his game. Draymond Green was necessary for the Warriors to do what they did. He was a huge part of the success that they had, and they needed to have a villain the whole time, and he was always kind of that guy. Draymond Green was the toughness of the Golden State Warriors. I would argue a lot of years he was the captain of the Golden State Warriors. For him to say anything other than positive, glowing remarks about the job that Steve Kerr did as a head coach kind of blows my mind. It is like making me think that might be an AI quote or something, because I don't see that in any way, shape, or form for Draymond.
I'm surprised he went there. Now, I guess I shouldn't be, because Draymond Green,
he's kind of a crazy person.
Right. He always says whatever the hell he thinks, and certainly makes for some good quotes. But, I mean, I think he got the most of what Draymond Green could be. Draymond Green was never a good offensive player. And if Draymond Green thinks that he would have been somewhere else, he wasn't that coming out of Michigan State, and he perfected his role. I give Draymond Green a lot of credit for taking a backseat to Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Iguodala, all the iterations of the Golden State Warriors, and knowing that he's excellent screener, played excellent defense, was kind of the antagonizer for the other team. I'm kind of surprised on Steve Kerr's possible way out of town he would say this, but if Draymond Green had developed a shot, he would have used it. But Draymond Green had never developed a three-point shot, so I don't really understand how he hindered his career. All right, we're going to give this a little bit more in a little bit, but Live Golf, Saudis pull the funding So all the big stars for Live Golf could be returning to the PGA Tour very soon. So breaking news out of the golf world. What would it mean for golf if we get one sports league again in the PGA Tour?
It'd be huge. Now, we'll just kind of go over the newsy bits of this right now. So Live Golf has been hemorrhaging money basically since it started. They were banking on the fact that they might be able to get a TV contract in the United States. So that was the only reason this was ever going to work. And let's be honest, they were probably never going to make back all the money that they spent. Like the rumors are they spent somewhere between $400 and $600 million for John Rahm. Phil Mickelson was reported to have gotten like $300 million. Brooks Koepka, a ton of money. Cam Smith, ton of money. Bryson DeChambeau, a boatload of money. So like they were probably never going to make all that money back, but they could have become a viable league. And the way they would have done that is if they got TNT or ABC or somebody to buy a TV contract and put them on actual TV each and every week. They were struggling on YouTube to get any numbers. They were getting like a few thousand viewers per event, and that's not an exaggeration. So Live Golf was always going to fold if that was the case. Now, the number that was floating out there today was $100 million. They were losing $100 million every single month on just putting on these golf tournaments. And they tried to wash it a little bit by saying, well, 10 of the 13 teams that are a part of Live Golf will turn a profit this year. Who knows if that's true. But ultimately, Saudis or the Saudi money that was behind it, the PIF fund, is realizing like, oh, this is just getting worse and worse and worse. So let's reinvest in soccer. Let's reinvest in maybe basketball, try to go money elsewhere. And with that being said, Liv has a new seat of directors or a new board of directors who's going to try to rescue what's left. It's not going to happen. PGA Tour is going to have some really tough decisions to make, and we'll talk about that in about 5 minutes.
Right. In the fundamental part of it is that if you're going to try to siphon off, which they try to do, and they've done this in boxing as well, you're trying to siphon off stars and create your own league. The problem is you had stars. You had big-time names, except they had no one to compete against. So you're trying to get, golf really is at its best. Like Fletch's a massive golf fan, I am too. When get the casual viewing public is when you're getting, Rory versus Scotty. If you're getting Justin Rose, like you're getting DeChambeau, big names in there. And when you just have some of these live guys from the PGA Tour who are so much better than everyone on the live tour, it just created a lack of buzz. And I mean, the scores that some of these guys would shoot were not even comparable to the PGA Tour in terms of golf. I know we're going to get into this more in a few minutes, but if they come back and everyone is back under the same league, it's great because we see the numbers of the majors when all these guys are playing together. It adds a fun element to it, and kind of glad that golf is going back to the way it was.
All right, let's squeeze one more in.
All right, so we're going to get to the Lakers here in about 15 minutes. We'll save some of that. But there are 3 Game 6s in the NBA tonight. So we got the Knicks and the Hawks. Knicks trying to close it out in Atlanta. Celtics trying to close it out in Philly. And the Nuggets trying to close it out in Minnesota. How many Game 7s of those 3 will we see?
T-Wolves trying to close out the Nuggets tonight.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
T-Wolves trying to close out the Nuggets. Yeah.
I think the Celtics-Sixers series is over. I thought that was a cute Game 5 from the 76ers. I don't know if Joel Embiid can be that good again. I do think Knicks-Hawks goes 7. I do think Nuggets-Timberwolves goes 7. So one series gets closed out tonight. 2 of them stay alive.
I think Denver wins. I think Denver pushes to 7 because I just don't know if after watching that Game 5, if they have enough scoring options. Minnesota without Anthony Edwards and without Dante DiVincenzo, I think it's probably just too much for Denver. I am with you on the Hawks. I think that I think the Hawks, they got exposed in the last game. Last 2 games they've been blown out, but they have at home. The crowd's going to be behind them. And it's been very volatile with the Knicks. Like one game, Karl Anthony Towns is dominant. Jalen Brunson had a really good last game, but they can be attacked on defense. And in that home crowd of Atlanta, wouldn't be surprised there's some fouls called early, get them in foul trouble. I do think that goes 7. I think the Sixers perform tonight. That's my most interesting game. If I was betting, I would say the Celtics close it out, even in Philly. But it would be fun to see Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey and all these guys if it were to go to 7, because this team, when fully healthy with Joel Embiid, is not a 7 seed. They're a much better team in the Eastern Conference, and it would kind of give a real test to Boston, who we just kind of put in the NBA Finals all of a sudden. And that loss, Joel Embiid dominated them the other night. So in Philly, anything's a go. But I think we got a good NBA slate tonight.
Sammy's out in Las Vegas. I'm here in San Diego. We'll get more details on what Sammy's been up to out there gambling and doing Rat Pack stuff here in just a little bit. But also the PGA Tour has a really tough decision to make coming up within the next couple of months. Will they do the right thing? I'll tell you what the right thing is, and I'll tell you why they probably won't do it coming up on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock. Sammy will keep the party rolling then from 2 to 3, going along with Sammy. I'm sure he'll hear some clips from some interviews he's recording out in Las Vegas, and then Schaefer and Sliwa will be your drive home later on tonight. Text line, Fletch, everything you just said happened in the 8th inning. I apologize. Got my timing mixed up on yesterday's Padres game. 913, fellas, I took 6 11 to 13-year-old boys to the game last night, and they were losing their minds after those 2 home runs. It was spectacular. Although the Padres lost, the memories were priceless. There are certain things that only baseball can provide to you, and there's nothing like being at a home ballpark when, I don't know, Nick Castellanos hits a big bomb for you. That had to be very, very fun. 913 also saying it's kind of sad that people like Miguel Andujar and Nick Castellanos are new faces, and they're more reliable than our stars. Another case where the stars really need to step up and perform. It is crazy, man. The best hitters on this team so far this year have been Ty France, Miguel Andujar, Xander Bogaerts. So far, the Padres' big stars have not showed up to the plate, but we'll see if they do sometime soon. Now, Sammy, you're out in Las Vegas. You want to tell everyone what you're doing and what we can expect to hear today, maybe from 2 to 3?
We got David Benavidez, Zurdo Ramirez Cruiserweight World Championship going down at T-Mobile Arena. Out here covering the fight for a boxing show on AM 570 and on 9 to 10, not quite ringside. We got David Benavidez, the Cruiserweight champion of the world, going for it. One of the most famous fighters in the sport. Canelo has avoided him for a long time. He will be taking the stage here in a few minutes, and we will be getting him at 220 today. So make sure to tune in. Got a big fighter joining us, and Fletch and I might have some. I don't want to tease it. We have a big recognizable promoter coming on tomorrow that I promise you will say some spicy stuff.
Is that officially happening? Is that locked in?
We are getting him at 9:50. We'll say it. Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya might be joining the show tomorrow.
That'd be very, very cool, man. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully Sammy doesn't, I don't know, get lost somewhere tonight out in Las Vegas and sleep in through everything. But we'll see. Maybe Oscar De La Hoya on the show coming up tomorrow. All right, PGA Tour and Live Golf. If you haven't seen it, the news today is, and it's been the top headline on multiple sports websites all day long. Live Golf appears to be folding. Now, they are doing a little bit of a last-ditch effort right now to try to get a new board in place to try to maybe rescue Live Golf and see if they can keep it going for another year. I don't think that's going to happen. Live Golf is folding. All the money has been taken out from underneath it. It would appear like there's going to be a lot of homeless golfers here, and not because they're financially poor, because they signed these massive contracts with Live, but because they are literally not going to have a league to play on. So here are the options. Brooks Koepka took advantage of a, quote, one-time only accelerated re-entrance program into the PGA Tour. That deadline was February 2nd to do it. Brooks Koepka did it. He's back. He's playing in every event. He had to pay a fine, but he did not have the suspension that other guys are having, like Patrick Reed. Now, Patrick Reed is in the middle of a one-year suspension. I believe he'll be able to get back to golf in September, but Patrick Reed is currently playing on the DP World Tour and playing in a few events that he's allowed to play in, like the Masters or other majors, while he tries to get his PGA Tour status back. Here is what I would be calling to the PGA Tour to do literally as of right now. Reopen up that accelerated re-entry program. Get Cam Smith, get Phil Mickelson, get Bryson DeChambeau, get John Rahm, all to come back and start reintegrating into the sport immediately. Like, yes, I think the punishment has already happened to them. They've been out of the limelight. They've been out of everything. Live Golf sucked, and we all know it. But if you are going to continue to like kind of get on this moral high ground and make everyone serve the 1-year punishment, you are going to be missing out on a year of prime John Rahm, prime Cam Smith, prime Bryson DeChambeau. Golf could be so freaking good right now that the longer you make them wait, the more you make a suspension hurt, the longer the golf product is just not going to be as good. I vote get them all back in immediately, make them pay a couple $1 million in a fine, and just move on from it as if it never happened. That's the only way this makes sense to me.
I'm with you. They need each other. And again, we go back to the major events draw huge numbers because you're seeing all the best guys playing in you kind of pointed out, they've been punished enough. Now, not really in their wallets. I guess you could argue that they're doing just fine because they've gotten paid. And if that's the only thing that some of these guys value, then I guess they're doing just fine. But in terms of being considered one of the best golfers in the world, you said irrelevant. That is very true. I mean, a lot of these guys have been on the back burner while Scotty's been dominating, while Rory has won back-to-back Masters, why some of these guys have really made names for themselves. Guys like Chris Goddard up on the PGA Tour some of these guys probably wouldn't be making as many names for themselves had some, your Roms, your DeChambos, your Smiths all been there. And I'm with you. Look, it's gone back and forth for so long. The drama between Rory and Tiger and Liv and everything. Golf is better when they're all together. So this whole punishing them, they've already been punished. So I like, especially a sport like golf, which is not the NFL, where anything the NFL puts out there is going to draw massive numbers. Golf has really been on the come recently. Again, I think golf has really kind of reemerged as something people really tune into every weekend. It'd be a shame to let personal beefs and things like that get in the way of the best golf product being out there every weekend.
Well, like right now, the Cadillac Championship is going on out in Miami, and you know how many headlines it's getting? The answer is not very many. Like Jordan Spieth had a really nice chip in on a hole. There's been a couple of shots that have popped up on my social media, but for the most part, it's guys like Cam Young, who's been playing really good this year, Jordan Spieth near the top of the leaderboard, and then it's kind of a bunch of guys. How much better would it be if it was Cam Young, Jordan Spieth, Bryson DeChambeau, Rory McIlroy, like everyone back in the mix? That's what golf needs. And every tournament and every week could be intense, and it could be a really good competition.
And I know we're about to get out of here, but it also, not that anyone's taking anything away from Rory or Scotty, what any of these guys done, because they are the best golfers in the world.
Yeah, make some of the fine that you charge the guys coming back go straight into their pockets.
Exactly. And we want the guys who win on the PGA Tour. We don't want to hear from DeChambeau fans and Cam Smith fans of, well, you're playing a little bit of a decreased competition because all the best golfers are not there. They all need to kind of sing kumbaya and get back together. It's better for the sport.
I really do hope we're entering into a bit of a golden age, because I think you have more great 27 to 35-year-old golfers right now than you maybe have ever had. And if they're all playing back at the same place, we are in for some pretty sweet times, a betting, if you know what I mean. All right, it's San Diego Sports 760. Motley Crue tickets coming up soon. 12:45. Sammy's long shots. He's in Vegas. He can't possibly lose when he's out in Vegas. But coming up next, Lakers couldn't possibly lose last night. In fact, something happened for the first time since 2008. We'll tell you what it is with that Lakers-Rockets game coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sport is sponsored by Lowe's. May 2nd, we got a huge matchup on the pitch. SCFC on Saturday taking on LAFC. Big-time rival at 6:30. LAFC is currently at plus 140 on the money line, while SCFC is plus 155. As always, hear that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. The Lake Show dropped last night. Series going back to Houston. Kevin Durant will not be playing in Game 6. That game will be tomorrow night. You can hear that game right here on San Diego Sports 760, starting at 6:15 with pregame coverage and 6:30 with the game. Lowe's has brands pros trust to get the job done. Get 10% off new Catalyst fencing solutions when you buy in bulk. Plus, save $180 on a select DeWalt minter saw, valid through May 6th while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long. Sammy, what's the name of the band that's playing this song right here?
Some Crew.
Oh, is this Motley Crue? What? Well, we have a pair of tickets for you to go see Motley Crue coming up on the show today. It's not the same old situation. It's not the same old giveaway. We got Crue tickets for you to head on out to Chula Vista to go take in some Crue coming up very, very soon. So don't go anywhere if you would like to win some Motley Crue tickets. All right, last night. First, I do want to get Sammy's reaction, and then I'm going to give you two mind-blowing stats, two mind-blowing streaks that came to an end last night up when the Lakers were taking on the Houston Rockets. Houston forcing a Game 6. It looks like KD still won't be available for Game 6.
Yeah, he's not going to play, which is I'm
crazy.
Surprised. I'm
crazy.
Very surprised.
But Houston does punk the Lakers a little bit last night. I thought it was a really poor showing by LeBron. I thought a lot of the guys who had really made the Lakers pop over the last few games, Marcus Smart played bad last night. You know, the one guy on the Lakers who I was like, damn, he's playing pretty good was actually Austin Reeves, who played 35 minutes in his return. But Sammy, diehard Lakers fan, you got to be a little torn up over last night's game.
I was very frustrated.
Were you watching in a sports book in Las Vegas?
And there was a bunch of Laker fans. And when they made the run at the end, everyone got excited. And then there was one Houston Rockets fan who started chirping everyone. So,
Sammy's in his favorite place in the world, in a sports book, watching his favorite team on the TV, and they lose. It's beautiful.
Dude, it was trying to ruin my night in Vegas. I was very disappointed with how they came out. Like you said, I thought they were pretty flat. They got it going late in the game, but it didn't give you closeout game energy. Like, it didn't give you like, hey, it's back on your home floor in Los Angeles, chance to close them out. And you kind of just let this team hang around. You come out on fire, get up, I believe it was 11 after the first quarter, and the second quarter just completely flat, come out of halftime flat. Look, I know some people are getting after Reeves today for going 4 for 16, and I know he missed some shots at the end, but I'm not blaming Austin Reeves. He had 22 points. He came off an injury. He played, to your point, 35 minutes. No one would have expected that in his first game back. You know, LeBron's been exceptional this series, but 0 for 6 from 3, unacceptable. Those some ill-advised shots at the end of that game when the Lakers had flipped the entire momentum. Reed Shepherd steals the ball away. And Luke Kennard was not effective. 1 point that simply can't happen. And, yeah, this series got real. I didn't put much stock into them winning Game 4 because I didn't think the Lakers were going to be sweeping, and they came out with their hair on fire. I mean, they're favored at home on Friday night. Look, the Lakers are still favored to get the series because you got 2 cracks to do this thing. But to give Houston credit, it makes me sick, but they kind of talked their talk after Game 4, and they backed it up. So, like, what are the Lakers going to do about it? Because all the pressure now is flipped back to the Lakers, see if they're the only team that's going to give up a 3-0 series lead.
So, what, Game 6 is going to be Friday night, tomorrow night?
7 would be Sunday.
Yeah, okay. So, Game 6 you will hear right here on San Diego Sports 760. That's in Houston, and then back home for the finale for the Lakers. We'll see. I do think this is probably going to go 7 at this point. We'll see if Houston can kind of keep up that same physicality. I thought that was the entire game yesterday. Houston was clearly the more physical team in last night's game, and that didn't favor the Lakers. Now, I thought Marcus Smart's played brilliantly in this series, lost a little bit of his fire that he's been playing with. I don't think you got the same performance out of him. We'll see if he can get it back, but they are in some trouble if they can't match that physical tone that was set by Houston last night. Shocking. Mind-blowing, and I'm going to call him a little soft here that Kevin Durant's not going to come out for Game 6. I can't believe it.
I'm surprised. I thought he was hurt, and then you smell blood in the water a little bit with the Lakers. You thought Kevin Durant coming back, this thing would get really real, and he must be seriously hurt. I mean, he didn't miss that many games. He missed 4 regular season games. So to be fair to Kevin Durant, this isn't a guy who is like a load managing type,
right.
But I'm with you. I was pretty surprised he's not dressing in at least some capacity. And the Rockets have kind of flipped this script on the Lakers. The Lakers, the first 3 games, were trapping the Rockets every time across half court, and the Rockets couldn't do anything with it. They didn't have a ball handler, and it's kind of flipped. I mean, 25 turnovers in game 4, 15 last night, some really inopportune times at those turnovers. And I thought with Austin Reeves coming back, it would help it. It did to an extent, but it just feels like this is a big next 2 games for JJ Redick, because JJ Redick came out, had a great game plan, out coaching Ime Udoka for the first 3. Well, Ime Udoka's found something, and they're getting the ball inside, getting after the Lakers' physicality. How do you respond to that? Because these next 2 games are huge for people going to focus on LeBron, on Reeves, guys like that. JJ Redick, these are really 2 massive games for JJ Redick.
And I don't know if it's all this, but I do think there is a part of it. Like, Reeves struggles on the defensive end of the basketball, and I think that might have gotten exposed a little bit last night. Neither team played great offensively. Like, this was a low-scoring game. This was a really physical, tough game. And Houston just had enough to win it. All right, the 2 streaks that came to an end last night, it's been since 2006, which I'm pretty sure was the Steve Nash Phoenix Suns, since the Lakers have lost a 3-1 advantage in a series. And they are 40-1 all time in those games. In 3-1 games where the Lakers are up, they are 40-1 all time. And it's been since 2006 since they lost one of those game 5s. And then the other one, which is also mind-blowing and kind of just a credit to LeBron James, LeBron James has gone 16 straight since 2008 closeout games at home where he's won.
Crazy.
He's lost a handful of playoff series. We know about LeBron James in the NBA Finals, but closeout games at home, he's nearly undefeated for his entire career, hasn't lost one of those games since 2008. And you do start to wonder a little bit if that's 2 pretty historic streaks coming to an end. Could this be a little bit of team of destiny thing with the Houston Rockets? I don't know. It feels like both teams are kind of lambs for the slaughter in the next round. But wild to see those 2 streaks come to an end. 1 team streak, 1 LeBron streak. But it does go to show like the kind of the greatness of these 2 entities, LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. And that's coming from a guy who can't really stand LeBron James and really can't stand the Lakers.
Well, like on the LeBron front, it's hard for me to put it all on LeBron. He didn't have a good game. He did not play well. The turnovers down the stretch, like, this is the one game in the series you point to LeBron. He's been exceptional for the first 3. This was not a good performance from him, and game 4 wasn't either, only scoring 10 points. What was frustrating to me was at the end of the game when the Lakers were making a move, and to that end, neither team was scoring the basketball. This wasn't like the Rockets were hitting shots from all over. The Rockets gave the Lakers tons of opportunities to get back in the game. They missed countless shots down the stretch to really put the game out of reach. And it felt like the Lakers, who had been, in the month of March, 15-2. Now, Luka was obviously there. But early on in the year, the big 3 wasn't working because it was LeBron's turn, then it was Luka's turn, then it was Reeves' turn, and they were just taking turns scoring. And in March, they figured that out. They figured out the offense, LeBron playing off ball and kind of running it through Reeves and Luka. And it felt like last night at the end of the game, when it got close, it devolved into LeBron jacking up shots, Reeves jacking up shots, not running an offense at all, when DeAndre Ayton, to his credit, I've been hard on this year, was dominating inside, 18 points. You don't go to him, and it just felt like trying to play hero ball, and it caught up to the Lakers.
Are the Lakers the first team in NBA history to blow a 3-0 series lead? Oh. Teams heading into this postseason were 0-160 when trailing 3-0. Are the Lakers the first ones to do it? Sammy looks sick to his stomach over there. You want to go put some money in that? How close are you to the sports book right now? Come on.
I'm very close to the sports book. Dude, Monday is going to be an awful show if they blow this thing.
Better or worse than the Chiefs being awful last year?
Well, that was I don't know. That was it's like twisting the knife with the Chiefs, because every week I kept thinking it was going to turn around. The Chiefs getting blown out in the Super Bowl doing radio the next day, and I know you had this too, because when the Chiefs beat the Niners,
it wasn't a blowout,
was one of the worst days of all time.
Yeah, it is sickening. It's every year when the Niners get eliminated from the postseason because every year I would walk into some studio and there's freaking Rich Ornberger or Travis Dale or Steve Hartman back in the day or Mike Costa just looking at me with an S-eating grin on their face. And I know I was that guy to Sammy all year long, every Monday walking in. I'm like, oh, Chiefs kind of suck still, huh?
You know what? You know what's the worst is when someone knows your team loses, like
Yeah.
run around the office, and everyone listening can relate to this. Whatever team you're, a
no
big fan
one
of.
wants to talk about it. Everyone just wants to get their day over with.
And it'll be people who don't like sports,
Right?
That'll randomly come up to you and go, they suck. I'm like, who are you? Why are you talking about this right now? So. Yes, hopefully the Lakers don't provide that on Monday.
Look, I'm here for history. I just want to see history be made. I don't really care who it happens to. So if the Houston Rockets are the first team in NBA history to come back down 3-0, I think that's a good thing for sports, and I'd like to see it happen. Lakers, feel free to blow this thing. All right, Lakers did blow long shots last night, and there's no excuse for that. It was Lakers were the one leg that didn't win, right, Sammy? Oh, no, we missed on an over-under, too.
We missed. I called the Cavs over. Unfortunately, the Pistons went over as well. I thought that Bankero and K with 45 apiece was disgusting.
A rare 1 for 3 from Sammy Long, but he's in Las Vegas. That is the city of luck. That is the city of winning. If we don't win long shots while you're out in Vegas, I don't know what we do. Long shots is on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock. Sammy will keep the party rolling then from 2 to 3 with Go Along with Sammy. Schaefer and Sliwa will be your drive home. Hey, we got 9 chances every day for you to win $1,000 every single weekday with the Bonus Bucks giveaway. Listen every hour from 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com. Next chance to win $1,000 coming up soon right here on San Diego Sports 760. All right, last night was a rough night in the NBA playoffs for long shots as the Lakers don't come through for us. I swear I thought we blacklisted the Lakers from long shots.
3 straight times.
I swear we blacklisted the Lakers from long shots at some point, but they just keep popping up on it. Today, what do we got here? We got some more NBA playoffs, lots of baseball going on during the day.
Baseball going on. We got a little NHL playoffs going on.
Sure, we got lots of fun stuff going on today. Sammy, you think you got a winner while you're out in Las Vegas?
I do. I've been working on this parlay for a little bit.
Have you also put it in at an actual sports book?
No, I am going right after the show to do it.
Perfect. Well,
right
let's
here
get it
at
going.
MGM.
Let's go ahead and smash.
You looking for some luck? Want to win big? Gotta play big.
You are so money and you don't even know it.
Time to take a chance
Say that man his man.
with long shots.
All right, Sammy, I'll be honest. There is a tasty-looking 37-leg parlay for tonight's action that I'm looking at. I don't know.
Stop with the 37 leg parlay.
But it's going to pay me 232 times my money.
You can't. How many of the 36 are same game in the same games? How many games is it 36 different games?
It's all NBA playoffs.
See, so you're gonna hit 36 legs over 3 games today. So that's 12 a leg.
Yeah, but they're all like alt spreads.
Well, you do. Hey, listen, it's a free country. You do whatever you want, Ben Fletcher. If you want to actually win, you rock with this. Okay,
where are we going?
We're going to the NHL playoffs first. Okay. Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Ducks in Anaheim. Biggest game in a long time for the Anaheim Ducks. Edmonton is minus 130 on the money line. This makes me sick. I do not like the Edmonton Oilers. They're going to win this game. They do this every year. They've done it with the Kings, they've done it with the Ducks, where they're sloppy to start. It was Stuart Skinner before. They got a new goalie in there, Jerry, and this team, although they have come up short in the NHL in the Stanley Cup Finals before against the Florida Panthers, the Anaheim Ducks haven't been here before. The Anaheim Ducks are very talented. Lacombe is an excellent player, Gauthier. But at the end of the day, when you have to take a team out, we're seeing it with the Lakers right now. When you have to take a team out, it's different. And Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are two of the best players in the sport. Zach Hyman's been there before. Bouchard at the top, great defenseman. They shut him down, Anaheim, in the last game, 4-1. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think Edmonton comes out on top. I've seen it too many times. Give me the Edmonton Oilers minus 130 on the money line tonight to add to the leg. All right. Then we're going to go to Nuggets and Timberwolves. We're going to go to the night game. Under 225.5. This is way too big of a number for me. Like, I get the last game, the Timberwolves scored 113 points. The Denver Nuggets scored 125, so people are looking at that going, oh, it's easy. 138 points are going to go over. Let's look at that game. Denver do-or-die game. Jokic was getting called out for not playing well offensively. They were first adjusting to no Anthony Edwards, no Dante DiVincenzo. This game is back in Minnesota, so I don't see the same offensive output from the Denver Nuggets. They also had some guys score way past their usual clips. I mean, Spencer Jones had 20 points. Murray had 24, Jokic 27. That's expected. Cam Johnson with 18. So Valanciunas 9 off the bench. Tim Hardaway. That was just the game got away from them. They needed that game. I think this is Minnesota's best shot to win this series. If this goes back to Denver, I don't see them having any shot. But with Ant off the floor, with DiVincenzo off the floor, even though Edwards is a great defender, there are still a lot of good defenders on this team. Rudy Gobert has been excellent over the course of the series against Nikola Jokic. Julius Randle is kind of the go-to option now in Ayo Dosunmu. But Denver has enough wing defenders back now with Jones and with Cam Johnson where they'd be able to limit them. 225.5 is way too high of a number for me. Give me the under in that one. And then let's go. I keep going back and forth on Knicks and Hawks. Now, I said earlier the Hawks were going to push us to a Game 7. That was my original thought. But then I started thinking over the course of the last 30 minutes. And in Vegas, things can change in quick time. Give me the Knicks minus 2.5. And I'm going to tell you why. we look back at the first couple games of this series. The Knicks were not playing. Jalen Brunson was playing bad basketball, and they were not playing through Karl Anthony Towns, which is the massive advantage that the Knicks have over Atlanta. Onyeka Okongwu is a solid player. Versace is a versatile big, but he's not a traditional kind of bruising big. They've started to play through Karl Anthony Towns and having Jalen Brunson as the number 2. As crazy as it is, but they figured that out. The last 2 games have been 20-point blowouts. I think this game is close at half. I think it will be a close game. But the Knicks down the stretch, even in the losses that the Knicks had against the Hawks, Jalen Brunson dribbled it in the corner, and I believe that was game 3, and couldn't get a shot up. They're just the better team, and I think Mike Brown has figured out Quinn Snyder a little bit. Give me the Knicks -2.5. I do think they get it done. They've been here before, whereas the Hawks haven't. And I don't think the Knicks want to send this thing back to a 7th game. So Knicks -2.5, under 225.5 in Minnesota and Denver. That is way too high of a number, way too much of an overcorrection for a team in Minnesota that plays excellent defense. And I do think the Edmonton Oilers keep it alive down in Anaheim tonight.
I dig it. That's good stuff. And out in Las Vegas, there's no way you're going to give us a loser. Sir Will on YouTube saying about the sparring section earlier today. Sammy, did you get a chance to look at that?
Yes, they were getting after a little bit. I'm excited. This fight is going to be fantastic. Sir Will, big boxing fan on the on YouTube. This is going to be a great fight. This is going to be all Cinco de Mayo, Mexican War. I mean, we've seen some great ones over the years. And Benavidez really kind of taken that mantle from Canelo and Julio Cesar Chavez and guys like that who have come before him.
Are you sticking around for the fight, or do you have to come back home?
Yeah,
Is it like the Super Bowl?
We're sticking around for the fight, baby.
Nice. Fight night in Las Vegas. It's basically Entourage, and Sammy's playing Vinny Chase.
Trying to be Vinny Chase.
You just need your Johnny Drama out there somewhere. I promise.
I'm really more like an E.
Sammy, one day when you get out there and you are full Vinny Chase and you have the #1 selling movie in the world, I volunteer happily to be your turtle. I will be your turtle all day long.
If we were at iHeart, I could see your turtle. I'm E. I think I'm a less intense E, but I'm probably E. Like of my friend group.
Travis Dale is for sure Johnny Drama.
100%.
100%. It's not even close. Bad jokes, except he's not as health conscious or Cavs conscious as Johnny Drama is.
Yeah, he definitely is not worried about Lamar Odom's Cavs.
So does that mean Rich Ornberger is our Vinny Chase?
Rich can be Vinny Chase. Rich is yoked out. Got a little 6-pack.
Alan Sliwa's Ari Gold.
What does that make John Schaefer?
John Schaefer is what's the dog's name in the first season? the protector. Yeah,
John Schaefer.
We got a good crew. All right, hour number 2 is coming up next. In hour number 2, you are going to get a pair of Motley Crue tickets. We also have a very, very special guest stopping by in hour number 2, Marcus Ingvartsen. He is a forward on SDFC. Massive game this weekend. SDFC and LAFC at Snapdragon Stadium. We'll have coverage of that game starting at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. But the forward for SDFC, Marcus Ingvartsen, is going to be jumping on coming up next at San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sport sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. SDFC taking on LAFC. All rivalry action there. Saturday night live from Snapdragon. That game will be at 6:30. Of course, you hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760. SDFC is a slight underdog at plus 155 compared to LAFC at plus 140. The Padres taking on the White Sox for a 3-game set. German Marquez will make the first start in that series. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
We will start from the beginning.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
Those goofy bastards are just about the best thing I've got going in this crazy world.
The studios of San Diego Sports 760 in the zone with Fletch and Sammy.
It's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock. Sammy will keep the party rolling in from 2 to 3. Schaefer and Sliwa will be your drive home. We are minutes away from being joined by Marcus Ingvartsen. It's a big one this weekend. SDFC taking on LAFC. Our coverage with Adrian Garcia Marquez and Darren Smith will get going at 6 o'clock on Saturday night here on your home for SDFC San Diego Sports 760. So here's how we're going to do this, because this hour is going to get a little crowded. We got Marcus Ingvartsen coming up in just a few minutes. We got Coach Kentera at 1:30. Here's what I will promise you. By the time Marcus gets off the phone and Coach Kentera gets on the phone, we will have a pair of tickets for you to go see Motley Crue out at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater in Chula Vista on September 18th. So between now and 1:30, those tickets will be given away. Sammy's going to request the caller number. I'm going to have to pick up phones, which is not a spot I like to be in, but we'll make it work for today because Sammy's out in Las Vegas. But Sammy will pick the caller number. We will give those away between now and by the time you hear Coach Kentera's voice coming up at 1:30. But Sammy, big one coming up this weekend. SDFC, LAFC, a little rivalry action going down at the, what does Adrian Garcia Marquez call it? The Murph Dragon Stadium. It's going to be a fun one coming up this weekend.
Yeah, it's SDFC. It's interesting because Darren Smith keeps coming on. I heard him on with Schaefer and Sliwa and on with us, talking about kind of everyone's hitting the panic button, and he's kind of been like, hey, they're kind of actually where they were last year. And yes, have they been playing well? No, we're not going to sugarcoat it and sit here and pretend like they've been playing good soccer. But the fact that they have, last year we looked at everything they did as this wow, like how, like they beat LA Galaxy, LAFC right off the jump, and then they kept kind of hitting their markers and getting even better, achieving milestones. And then this year we look at it because they go to the Western Conference Finals and they get off to that hot start, and you're just wondering where the scoring's at. We've seen them all Pellegrino, Shuki Lozano. That whole situation is so odd. Him, being there, you need some scoring, but he's not playing. So obviously the relationship with SDFC has been fractured. So I don't know if it's as SDFC has been as bad as we're all making it out to be, or as if the expectations got set so high from last year, which is a good thing, by the way. You want expectations to be high, not just that you're happy to be here last year, and then the fact that they're sitting kind of in the middle of the pack of the table. Will be interesting to see where they go from here.
The good news for SDFC is that it's a good time to get hot, right? And as you lead into the second half of the season, getting going here in a few weeks, you feel like it's time to start striking. Maybe get started this weekend against LAFC. I'm sure that would be a great time for all the supporters who head out to Snapdragon Stadium coming up later on this weekend. Again, 6 o'clock this Saturday night here on San Diego Sports 760. You will hear that match, SDFC and LAFC, as we enter a bit of a rivalry weekend here. All right, Padres last night or yesterday afternoon, they lose the series to the Chicago Cubs. Kind of a rough way for things to end. Now, it is, I don't know, I think we had this question on the rundown earlier. Is it time to hit the panic button after a series like that, or is it just another series loss against a good team? Well, let's put it this way. The Padres were at the starting pitching disadvantage, right? They had Buehler and they had Waldron going in this series, and the Cubbies have really good starting pitching this year. It's just their bullpen that's been a little lack. And so you look at what happened the last 3 days over Petco Park. Would it have been different if, say, you had the fully healthy Nick Pivetta, you had a Michael King, you had a Randy Vasquez going 1, 2, 3 instead of this situation where it was Vasquez, Buehler, Waldron? Obviously, things are a little bit different. But right now we have to go on what we have to go on. It's the fact that I felt like the pitching actually did enough in all 3 games. Now, it wouldn't have been easy, especially in game number 2, the Cubs scored 8 runs, but you feel like this Padres offense should be up for that task. And yesterday, you had the opportunities in the 8th inning, man. Fernando Tatis Jr. actually does his job, gets a sac fly, gets a run in, and then Manny Machado comes up to the plate, and you feel like maybe a rally's getting started. Double play, ground out, never really had a chance in the 9th. So it's disappointing when you feel like you get enough out of a guy like Matt Waldron, who went 5 innings, gave up 3 runs yesterday, especially after a rocky first inning. He gets that done, and then the offense can't really supplement it enough, even when you get production from Castellanos, from Andahar, but you can't get it from the big guys. Just another frustrating early season loss for the Padres.
Well, you hit it on the head, right? Did they have their ace pitchers lined up? No. Now, Randy Vasquez, you could argue, was the ace pitcher so far coming into this series.
And they won that game, even though he struggled.
Right. I think what's disappointing, if you're looking at this series, is when you do step up in competition. When you are playing the Cubs, they're going to score runs. And you can't just kind of rest on your laurels like they have a lot of this season, which is when you're playing subpar competition, against the Angels, you're able to win 2-1. You're able to just manufacture a couple runs, and that the bats on the other side are not quite there. The Cubs have been hit with a rash of injuries in the starting lineup and then in the bullpen. But in terms of a 1 through 9 batting order, they're one of the best in the league. You can put them up there. I mean, Pico Armstrong had been dreadful before this series. He's been hitting 8th. I mean, Basileros is an upcoming rookie that looks like an absolute star. Nico Horner and Alex Bregman. I mean, this is
that dude Ballesteros is a tank, by the way. You see the quads on that guy?
Yeah, he is hit leg day. But so I think that's what's disappointing is that at Petco Park, the Padres had no excuse to not answer that with their own offense. And they did in night 1. You give them a lot of credit for it, winning 9-7. That's why I was excited when they won 9-7 versus 2-1. Like, I'm excited they could win a game when the pitching wasn't there and the bats were there. But then they get blasted in game 2. And then yesterday they had the prime opportunity with Machado and Tatis up. And to be fair to Tatis, we crushed him a lot. He did come through. Machado doesn't. So it's not sky is falling, but you also are not going to sit here, and I think there's a lot of narrative around San Diego of people being frustrated why the national media is not giving the Padres credit. And a lot of that, in my opinion, has to do with until you beat a Cubs, until you go beat a Dodgers over a series or, name the list of teams, there's going to be that skepticism about the strength of schedule. But then again, if you're looking on the flip side, you can only play who you're going to play. So credit to the Padres for actually just winning the games right in front of them. And again, back to the winning with the bats. It's great that they can win a game 2-1. They got to figure out how they can do it when the bats come through, because in the playoffs, it's not always going to be a perfect pitching matchup, because the other teams in the playoffs are going to have great hitters who are going to turn on some balls.
Absolutely. All right, let's make some room here. We got Marcus Ingvartsen with SDFC. He is a forward. He is a fan favorite. I love hearing Adrian Garcia Marquez call this guy's name out. Marcus, my name is Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long, who you just heard. It's great to have you on. It's a pleasure to meet you, man. How's life?
It's all right. I'm not doing too bad, but of course we're looking forward for the weekend.
It's going to be a good weekend, man. This is special stuff here. SDFC, LAFC, a little bit of a rivalry that's been born over the last couple of years. I'm excited to see it. How's everyone feeling heading into this game? I know it's been a bit of a rough patch for the team, but thinking you guys can turn it around here this weekend?
Yeah, of course, we had a stretch where we didn't get the points and the results that we were hoping for. But going into this week against LAFC, it's a bit different, and hopefully we can change the results around. And I think we have had a good week, good energy in the group, and the performance last weekend was also a step up from the previous weekend. So we're positive and excited for the game.
It's kind of fascinating how SDFC immediately in its inaugural season really kind of adopted that LA-San Diego rivalry that the Padres certainly have with the Dodgers and all that.
I'm sorry, I don't too much.
Yeah, it's all good, Marcus. We're got some audio problems on our end, so here I'll just kind of take over. Marcus, you're from Denmark, coming over. You play in the MLS now. What are some of the differences you've noticed playing over internationally, playing here in the States, and how have you been able to kind of translate that in your game?
Yeah, coming here, I think It's a very good league with a lot of good players and a lot of individual quality coming from especially the Danish league, where the Danish league is a bit more tactical, more defensive orientated, and so on. The MLS is a little bit more open. As a striker and as a forward, it's very nice. So I really enjoy playing here. And then, of course, there's the aspects of traveling, away games, time difference, and so on that I haven't been used to playing in Europe, which is fun to experience and also to settle into.
Now, Marcus, what's been just so much fun to watch from our point of view has been the crowds the Snapdragon has been able to get over the first 2 years and the support that you've gotten from this community. I mean, I know people who've been fighting in San Diego to get an MLS team for 10, 15 plus years, just waiting for this to happen. And you guys come on the scene last year, and all of a sudden it's the hottest show in town. All of a sudden you're selling out Snapdragon on a regular basis. Does that ever get old? Does that ever get old, walking out on the pitch and seeing all these crazy San Diegans rooting their asses off for you guys?
No, for sure not. I think first season was amazing in so many ways. The way the city took us in, the performances, like everything was just going amazing, and you feel like going into this season, the city and everyone you talk to around the city has really got into it, following the team, going to the stadium and so on. So going into the season, even in these tough moments, at this moment, you still feel it. There's still a hype, and it's amazing what has been built in such a short time.
Man, it's fun, and game day experience is like nothing else. I have a blast when we head out to the games. San DiegoFC.com, by the way, if you would like to buy tickets for this weekend's match with LAFC. Going to be a good one on Saturday night. Our coverage will begin at 6 o'clock right here on your home for SDFC San Diego Sports 760. We're talking with Marcus Ingvartsen. He is a forward for SDFC, getting ready for this weekend's match. Now, Marcus, I mentioned, but you were born in Denmark. Do I have that correct?
Correct.
Okay, I don't know much about Denmark food, if I'm being completely honest, but I know a lot about San Diego food. So since you've come over and moved here, are you liking this food more? You miss the home cooking? How you feeling?
To be honest, I like this kitchen more. In Denmark, they have a few good dishes, but like the general kitchen, to be honest, is not amazing. So there are a few dishes I miss at home, but I've become big into burritos. I don't know how many burritos I've had within this first year and a half, but it's more than I've ever had for the rest of my life, so it's amazing.
The number should be around 1 million, Marcus. I think that's what I take down on a year-in, year-out basis. Now, you burn quite a few more calories than I do on a daily basis, but the burritos here are pretty damn good. What's the cuisine in Denmark? What are you eating on a regular basis out there? What are the staples?
Yeah, but we have quite a lot of pig in a lot of dishes, so pig as the main thing, and then we have different meats and so on. But potatoes is a big thing also. And then one of the dishes that I miss a little bit is what we call like a open sandwich. It's like a rye bread that you primarily get for lunch, but it's like a special lunch that you go have at a restaurant or for special family occasions. So that's an amazing one.
Dang, man, that sounds pretty good to me. I like bacon. All right, LAFC, they got a pretty strong attacking identity. LAFC, you feel like, is one of the teams that's always in the mix in the MLS. What can fans expect this weekend? Where do you think you guys can exploit something against LAFC?
Yeah, they've been doing well. It's a very good offensive team. So I think it's going to be an interesting match. Both teams want to take control, and I think we need to come back to our strong starts. That's what really has been doing us well, especially at home. We've been playing so well often in the first 15 minutes and just taking control early of the game. We had some good experiences against them last season, and I think it's an amazing game to reset. Don't think too much about what happened in the last couple of games, but just this is a derby. New energy and go out and play freely.
Well, we can't wait for it, Marcus. Good luck to you. Good luck to the boys coming up on Saturday night. Our coverage will begin at 6 o'clock here on San Diego Sports 760 as SDFC takes on LAFC. It's going to be a good one. Marcus Ingvartsen, it was a pleasure meeting you, man. Thank you for jumping on the show. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right. Thank you, guys.
Marcus Ingvartsen. Good to talk to him. Good to get to know him. I've loved getting to meet a couple of these SDFC guys, have him on the show, and spread some word about the program, which is going to get going again Saturday night, 6 o'clock. Sammy, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, you were super, super soft when you were talking to Marcus.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're trying to figure some things out. We're in the middle of a press conference right now.
But he's back. And any fights breaking out in Las Vegas?
Not yet. The co-main event is up here right now. The main event guys like each other, I think. But I was kind of hoping for something spicy. Like, if you see a table get knocked over, that's what it's going to be.
It's either the Real Housewives of New Jersey or a boxing event if tables start getting knocked over. So
gotta sell it somehow.
Good luck. Maybe we'll see it in a bit. All right, Sammy, stay ready because you got the big three coming up next at San Diego Sports 760. Immediately following the big three, we got some Motley Crue tickets for you. So stay tuned here on San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock. We got Coach Kentera coming up in about 10 minutes. Motley Crue tickets coming up in about 5. So stay tuned here on San Diego Sports 760 if you want to head out and see the Crew coming up in a couple of months. All right, Sammy's out in Las Vegas covering the fights. I'm back in San Diego. We're getting you ready for a weekend here on a Thursday on San Diego Sports 760. Sammy, anything new to report from Vegas, or you want to just get right to the big three?
We're kind of in a little bit of a flux right now, waiting for the main event, guys. Let's get to the pressing stories of the day in the big three.
There we go.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The big three.
619 asking if Sammy's out in the tarmac or what. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there, but as soon as we potted you up for the Marcus Ingvartsen interview, you went away.
Yeah, we're holding this. There's a gazillion wires everywhere. I'm scared to touch any of this. But so as long as we stay on air, this is kind of interesting out of the college basketball world, though. So Amazon and Duke. Amazon is going to televise 3 marquee Duke basketball games as part of a deal. They'll face UConn in Vegas, Michigan at Madison Square Garden, and Gonzaga in Detroit, non-conference games. But this opportunity will create specific NIL opportunities for Duke athletes through Amazon. So Amazon is coming into the college basketball, first time they've ever kind of gotten into college sports. Is this good or bad for college basketball that we're seeing streaming companies get in with certain teams?
Yeah, we're gonna have to find out a little bit more before I make an official decision. On the outset, I just think it's the way of the future. Look, any opportunity that schools are going to be able to get to kind of offload NIL responsibilities to others is an opportunity you have to take advantage of. So one of the biggest recruiting pieces that San Diego State has right now is their commitment to this Players Era Invitational each and every single year. That's $1 million each and every year in NIL money, plus more if you win the damn thing. So I think schools are looking around smartly and trying to take advantage of any opportunity they can get to get their hands on some extra NIL money that's coming from a source that's not homegrown. That's something they don't have to farm and do on a regular basis. So if Amazon's willing to foot the bill for a couple of players to potentially go over to Duke, that's exactly what they should be doing. I hate that it's happening to Duke because it feels like the rich is just getting richer, but it feels like a smart move on both ends to me.
It's not as big a deal if assuming that they're staying in the ACC. Like, this is what happens in college football is Notre Dame has had this for years, not with a streaming service, but with NBC. So people are always, why is Notre Dame in the Big Ten? Why is Notre Dame joining a conference? Well, because NBC pays them $1 gazillion, because you're hard pressed to find a bigger college football brand than Notre Dame football. You can go anywhere and see Notre Dame gear. So Duke is, would be kind of an equivalent in college basketball of a Notre Dame in football. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's cool that they're going to, scheduling some big non-conference games, going to make a big deal about it. But again, we talk about the tournament expanding, talk about the lack of upsets the last couple of years. If you're a blue blood program, you're just getting better. Like it's with the NIL, and this is a larger conversation. I think in college football, it actually has even the playing field a little bit because guys don't want to go sit when they can go be NFL stars. If 5-star quarterbacks don't want to go sit on the bench. But in college basketball, it really does feel like Duke, Kansas, North Carolina, these blue blood programs are just getting richer because Amazon is only doing this for Duke. They're not doing this for a large portion of the country.
Yeah, I'd also be super curious to see how the ACC feels about this. I would imagine they're not thrilled. Like the ACC has their media rights deal, and if Amazon's going after just one school, that seems a little bizarre. So I wonder if this is their way of trying to get into the ACC, and potentially whenever the ACC's media rights deal comes up, Amazon tries to snipe it away, or what's going on there. But we're going to need to wait because just because Duke's doing it now, there's going to be an announcement soon about North Carolina partnering up with Netflix or partnering up with somebody.
I also am curious because the NFL can go to streaming services because it's the NFL and everyone will watch. Every other league, and especially when you get to individual colleges and college football and college basketball, yet all North Carolina is going to buy Amazon Prime because they, Duke basketball is a religion. But how many kids in Wisconsin are like, I'm buying Amazon Prime to watch this tonight?
I guess it depends on the matchup, doesn't it? Who are you giving us with Duke? You know what I mean?
Right. So it'll be interesting going forward, but kind of snuck that in there. All right, let's go back to the Padres. So first part of this kind of Windy City homestand with the White Sox coming this weekend. Is it something or nothing that they lost to the Cubs? Is this just they were on a hot tear? They lost 2 or 3 to a good team, or are you kind of buying into the narrative that they can't beat good teams?
I think the Padres are 8 games over 500 right now. I would have taken that at any point this season and signed up for it before the season began. So again, this is a little bit of a wait and see. Yeah, the Padres have beaten up on lesser competition, but also this weekend this week against the Cubs, you could sort of make the excuse that they didn't have their A team of pitchers ready to go for this weekend. It was the bottom of the starting rotation. So I do think that it's a little bit of a wait and see, not just for can they continue to keep this 8 games, 7 games over 500 alive, but also what's this team look like when Lucas Giolito is part of the starting rotation? What does this team look like if/when Griffin Canning, Nick Pivetta, Joe Musgrove are part of this team? Like right now, your starting rotation is not close to what your starting rotation should be by the end of the season. So it's a little difficult right now to say, oh, well, Pete Crow Armstrong just feasted on the Padres when they didn't really have their guys going. So It's a little bit of a wait and see. And at the same time, like, who's complaining about a 8 game over 500 record at this point? I'm not going to be the one doing it.
And it's not like they got in the 2 losses. Game 2, they got shellacked. The Pete Crow Armstrong 3-run home run late in it. Yesterday could have gone either way. And Machado didn't come through, but that was not like they were obviously right there in that game. I believe that they can compete with the elite competition. Now, the national media is not going to give them that right now, but they'll just have to wait and see. But I'm with you. Not having their best pitchers going, this team is only going to get healthier. I think it's a little bit of an overplayed narrative.
All right, we'll talk some more pods with Coach Kentera on the other side, but right now is your chance to win a pair of tickets to go see Crew out at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater September 18th. It's Live Nation's Summer of Live. All-in $30 tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. You have a limited time to buy these tickets. It's now through May 5th. Motley Crue performing at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on September 18th. If you would like to go to the show, Sammy, I'm actually going to hijack this because I don't want to count to caller 20 or something like you're going to say.
I was about to call it like 24.
Caller number 6, you're going to see Motley Crue out at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater coming up in just a few months in September 18th out in Chula Vista. Coach Kentera on the other side at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by the Hartford Auto Insurance. SDFC taking on LAFC Saturday night at 6:30. Hear that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. SDFC looking to get back in the win column. Lake Show pushed to a Game 6 by the Houston Rockets. Kevin Durant will still not play on Friday night back in Houston. They are a couple-point favorite in that one. And Calais Campbell is reuniting with the Ravens for his 19th season. Six-time Pro Bowl defensive lineman will be back, even though he would turn 40 on September 1st. Wait until you hear this. You can save hundreds by switching to AARP Auto Insurance from the Hartford. Visit trusthartford.com. The Hartford, your protection is their passion. The Hartford Insurance Group pays royalty-free fees to AARP for the use of its intellectual property. AARP and its affiliates are non-insurers. Savings vary.
Written all over it. This is a guaranteed war. Mark my words. Estamos muy contentos. Gracias por estar aquí. El 5 de mayo, obviamente, es una fecha muy importante para el boxeo.
San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock. I got the report from Coach Kentera that last week Sammy Long and Jay Riff didn't screw the show up too bad while I was gone. Appreciate that a lot. Coach, how the heck are you? Good to hear from you.
Doing well, gentlemen. Great to be with you. And, boy, we got a lot to talk about. A lot of things going on here in San Diego with our ball club. And, of course, the NBA, the Lakers last night. Man, I'm getting a little nervous.
Yeah, could they be the first team to blow a 3-0 series lead in the postseason, Coach?
Well, if they play like they did last night, yeah, they could. And I'll tell you, they're giving Houston a lot of confidence. And I think if Houston's smart, Kevin Durant won't play again. They're playing better without him, to be honest with you. Everybody for Houston, a lot more guys are getting involved. They're running the offense through Shagun, who's a really nice post player. He only had 14 points last night, but he had, I think, 9 rebounds and 8 assists. Did a heck of a job. Jabari Smith Jr. doing a great job, and they're just playing really good basketball the last 2 games.
Coach Kentera joining us today on San Diego Sports 760. Always good to talk with the coach. Now, Coach, I think Fernando Tatis Jr. is up to like 31 straight games without a home run or something like that. It's the longest streak in his career. He's hitting the ball hard. We've all seen the numbers. Everyone seems to have an opinion on his swing. I've seen breakdowns talking about how much flatter it's gotten, how it's at an 8% launch angle or attack angle, whatever it is. I do feel like you can kind of be the authority on things like this sometimes. What have you seen from Fernando Tatis Jr.'s swing? What looks different to you? Why isn't the ball going out of the ballpark?
Well, he's having a hard time. A couple of things. Number one, he's having a hard time getting that back hip turn. He's kind of getting himself locked in on that front foot to where he can't get good rotation and really fire those hands through the hitting area. He hit a ball 2 nights ago. That Wednesday night game, he hit a sharp, it ended up being a line drive out, but that was the first time where I've really seen him turn on a ball and hit it with authority. Right now, he's having a hard time getting his hips moving to where he can get the barrel of the bat out in front of the plate. I mean, if you're going to pull the ball, you got to get it out in front of the plate. Everybody wants to talk about how hard he's hitting the ball and how he's letting the ball get deeper. Well, that's great. We're at the end of April right now, and he has, I think, 4 doubles and 0 home runs. And he's not making big money to just play right field. I mean, we talk more about his defense now than we do about his offense. That's not a good thing. And hopefully, he'll continue to work with the hitting coach, Steven Sousa Jr. I'm getting actually, even though some of the guys are struggling, I'm hearing really good things about this guy, really good things. But again, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And he's got a lot of projects right now. He's got to worry about Tatis. He's trying to keep Manny on track. Manny started to show some signs of coming out of it. Manny went 0 for 4 and had some really poor at-bats yesterday, I might add. And Cronenworth, he's going to have to go on a diet and lose about 40 pounds to hit his weight the way he's going. The hitting coaches down there, they got a lot of work to do with these guys. Some of their key guys just aren't swinging the bat very well. But as far as Fernando, I just think he's not getting that back hip turned. And when you get that back hip turned and your top hand is making contact, you want those hands to accelerate through the ball rather than decelerate. I think that's kind of what's happening right now. He's losing bat speed on contact.
Coach, so much has been made about this Cubs series, kind of an opportunity to beat a good team? Because some people have critiqued the Padres and that they've been beating up on softer competition. Do you subscribe to that, or are you disappointed that they didn't win that series, or do you think it's kind of an overblown narrative?
Well, I think everybody, because this is the only, and I don't know offense to SDFC and the other professional organizations in town, but let's face it, the focal point in this town is San Diego Padres baseball. I don't care how good the Aztec basketball program is or the football program. It's going to be about the Padres, okay? You get 43,000 people a night showing up, there's a lot of interest. I think this ball club can be picked apart. There's no perfect ball club, Sam. And, we could say, and I'm a big believer, having coached a lot of baseball, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. Some guys are playing well. Some teams are playing well. Other teams are maybe scuffling, or you're getting the top 1, 2, 3 guys when they come in for a 3-game series, or maybe you're getting, the 3, 4, 5s in another series. And, at the end of the day, at the end of 162 games, I always say, how many you have in the left column, how many you have in the right column. And once we can match up everybody, once we get to the playoffs, hey, we'll take our chance. But the bottom line, get in the tournament, and then let's line up our best against the other team's best and see what the heck happens.
Coach, I feel like I'm guilty of this just as much as anybody, but I can get so harped down on Manny Machado grounding into a double play to basically end the game yesterday in the 8th, or Fernando Tatis Jr. not hitting home runs, where I kind of forget about the good stuff that's going on with the Padres. Like Miguel Andujar has been incredible for the Padres. Luis Campusano on this revenge tour that he's on has been incredible for the Padres. And without those guys, who knows where they're at this year. But specifically Luis Campusano, when you watch him play, and I love that quote that went viral about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, where he says, yeah, just stop giving an F, And that's kind of, we've seen it translate to him on the field. How fun is it watching Luis Campusano really turn this thing around and go from being one of those guys that it felt like the fan base had already turned on to a fan favorite in the matter of 2-3 weeks?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you go back to, I think it was 2022 and 150-something at bats, he had a really good year, and he struggled. But a lot of the struggles, I think were the way he was handled. And I'm not going to say by the organization. I'm going to say by the coaching staff more than anything else. I think the organization always believed in him, AJ and Josh Stein in the front office. I think there was probably a little bit of a tension last year when he wasn't being played a whole lot. I mean, he'd go 8 or 9 days without even getting an at bat. Well, you can't expect anybody. I don't care who you are, Pete Rose or Ty Cobb. You can't expect a guy to go 8 or 9 days and then come up and give him an at bat in the 8th or 9th inning against some of the best closers in baseball. You're not going to have any type of success. He went 0 for 21, but he was up and down between El Paso and the big leagues, and you'd always hear, well, the pitchers don't like throwing to him. You know what? With everything you've got now, as far as communication, there should be no problem whatsoever. I watch his setup. He's got a good setup. He's working his tail off right now, and I know he's come a long way as far as learning to follow the game plan. But this guy's been able to hit. I remember when he was a kid playing in Lake Elsinore in the Cal League. And before the Cal League became a low A, it was high A. And I watched that guy tear the cover off the ball, and then he did the same thing last year in AAA. This guy can hit, and it's amazing what playing time and confidence will do for a guy. And I think the way they're handling the catching right now, for me, he's not hitting, but he'll end up hitting. He's got a track record of hitting. But I think the way they're moving guys in and out behind the plate, I think that's good. Just keep doing what you're doing. Let both guys have an opportunity to have success, and that's going to be a plus position. Defensively last year, it was a plus position, but offensively, it was a negative position. So I think they definitely upgraded with both these guys this year.
Coach, where you at with Jackson Merrill? Because Jackson Merrill had the unbelievable rookie season, got a lot of injuries last year. It feels like people kind of gave him a pass, and he feels a little lost at the plate right now. Where are you at with him? Do you think it's a swing thing and he's in his head? Like, where are you at with it?
Well, first of all, his struggles offensively, Sammy, haven't transitioned out to the outfield. He's still playing an outstanding outfield. There's no question about that. He can go get the ball. He can throw. I mean, he's a plus defender. Offensively, they're really attacking him. And I've noticed in some of these series with high fastballs, and he's swinging underneath and trying to lift him. He got to stay on top of the baseball a little bit better and maybe flatten his swing out a little bit. I'm not saying, you're not going to have a little bit of an arc, the old slide up swing Ted Williams used to always talk about, but I think he's trying to maybe get a little too much launch angle that they like to talk about. You got to keep your hands above the baseball, hit down through the ball, get that backspin, and that ball will go out of the ballpark. So I think he's a young kid that had great success his first year. Last year, you mentioned he had 3 different injuries that kept him out of the lineup. He didn't really have any consistency a year ago. Now he's going through a lot of what he probably should have went through last year. Long periods where you're kind of trying to figure it out. He's striking out a lot, probably going up there hoping to get a hit right now rather than getting in the box knowing he can get a hit. But, all ball players go through that. He's a very talented kid. He'll come out of it. I'm sure they're working with him on some things. And, if he'll listen to coaches, I think he's still going to have a really good, solid year. He got great upside as a ball player, great mental makeup as well.
Coach, we did this yesterday, and I'm curious what you think about it, knowing the history of the Padres like you do. So I'm going to read off one name, and I tried to go the 7 most influential Padres players of the last 30 years. And so you got to start 3, you got to sit 4, and I'm going to read one name at a time, and you got to decide whether you're starting him or sitting him. And all these names are pretty damn good, Coach. You want to give this a shot?
I'll give it a shot.
All right, we're going to start off with Jake Peavy.
Well, he's probably the best right-handed pitcher the Padres have ever had. So yeah, I gotta go with him.
You're gonna start Jake Peavy, okay? How about Trevor Hoffman?
Right now, over the long tenure, and if Mason Miller's on that list, I'm still going with Trevor because I got to see Mason Miller do it for a decade.
Fernando Tatis Jr.
Not on it right now.
Manny Machado.
Probably on it because he had a longer tenure at third base than Ken Caminiti.
Okay,
so
Ken Caminiti.
Right?
That's 3 starters. Yeah, and Tony Gwynn hasn't been named yet, Coach.
Right.
Ken Caminiti was going to be next, so you're going to say cut. Adrian Gonzalez.
Tough one to pass up. The best left-hand power hitter in Padre history, in my opinion. But I gotta obviously put Tony on.
All right, Tony's in. So you got 4 starters and 3 sitters, which is okay by me, Coach. You get a special pass on the rules. Coach Kentera, appreciate your time. You got anything big coming up for us?
Oh, not a whole lot. Just enjoying the NBA playoffs and waiting for tomorrow night's game at 6:40 against our old buddy Will Venable, one of the great guys you'll ever meet in baseball, the second-year skipper of the Chicago White Sox. Should be an interesting series. They got some really, really good young players. The White Sox are playing good ball, and I know everybody's probably ha-ha, he-he, the Padres should sweep them, and they very well may, but I'm going to tell you what, the Padres better be ready to come to play because this White Sox team, they got some good young guys that are playing with their hair on fire right now.
Yeah, White Sox have been on fire the early portion of the season. Going to be a fun series. Coach, thank you for your time. Appreciate you.
All right, gents. Have a great day.
Oh, yes, sir. We will. Coach Kentera, the legend, joining us like he does every single Thursday. Coach got a little nervous when we hadn't said Tony Gwynn's name yet. Huh, Sammy?
Yeah, you kind of baited him with that. With the Jake Peavy and then Trevor Hoffman.
Well, yeah, Tony was going to be last. Of course he was going to be, and everyone wants to start Tony, but I do feel bad
to
for
be
that.
fair to Coach, he had to do it one at a time. Everyone else got to do it with all 7.
Correct. All right, it is San Diego Sports 760. How about a big shout out to Steve, who won those Motley Crue tickets? Steve, you're going to the show. We got 1 pair of those left, and they will be given out tomorrow between noon and 2 o'clock. So make sure you're listening. We will close this thing out, get you ready for Going Along with Sammy coming up next at San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you for our final time here today. Sammy will keep the party going coming up next from 2 to 3. Go along with Sammy, Schaefer, and Sleewell will be your afternoon drive home, as it is my afternoon drive home every single day. Love those guys, Schaefer and Sleewell, doing a hell of a job as our brand new afternoon drive show. All right, some news that we didn't really get to talk about today was George Pickens signing the franchise tag with the Dallas Cowboys. You might think, oh, well, hands washed. That deal is done. Cowboys, Pickens, good to go for this year. I got to be honest, I got big doubts that he may even play for the Dallas Cowboys this year. It feels like George Pickens is in that mode. We saw the quote from Adam Schefter earlier this week where he said, look, he wants the long-term contract with the Cowboys or else he wants to be traded. None of that's happened, right? So he signed the franchise tag. It's like $27 million. If George Pickens wants to, he doesn't have to play at all this year. He can really hold the Cowboys to the fire and force them to do something. They obviously want him on the field, at least for this year, but the Cowboys also know it would be a mistake to have two top-end wide receivers and paying both of them, especially when one of them, and George Pickens, is quite the diva. Sammy, you think George Pickens plays this year?
I do, because I don't see what after the draft. If this would have come out 2 weeks ago, I know it kind of did the week of the draft, but if you're the Cowboys and you do feel like you have a pretty decent roster this year, the Eagles, there's question marks. Are they falling back? The offense was sluggish last year. I don't know if a new offensive coordinator who's never done it before is going to come in and change that. You look at that division, I think you feel like you have a shot. Trading George Pickens for picks next year doesn't really do anything for you this year. Had it been 3 weeks ago and you trade George Pickens and you pick up another pick and maybe you're sitting there with Mekhi Lemon or you're sitting there with the Cardinals, say whoever it was, but I bet he ends up playing because it's Pickens also, he wants a deal, so him sitting out a year doesn't really do a lot for his status going somewhere else, and he will get chipped out on that franchise tag.
Yeah, he's $27.5 million. It's huge. That's massive life-changing money for you, for me, for anybody not named George Pickens, because he's an NFL wide receiver, and he's probably going to get a $125 million deal somewhere. And it shouldn't be with Dallas. Dallas would be silly to do that deal. But somewhere next offseason, he'll get that deal, I think, regardless of whether or not he plays or not this year. I heard maybe one of the best takes I've heard from Colin in months was him talking about Jackson Smith and Jigba and why he was the perfect person for Seattle to pay that contract to. Or Devontae Adams in the past, when he's gotten big money, is the perfect person to pay those contracts to, because they're just not drama. They show up. Right, they work. Exactly. George Pickens, forever, I would be worried about, okay, well, if we say one thing wrong, is that going to be a problem for years? And that's kind of what A.J. Brown and the Eagles are dealing with right now. So wide receiver is just such a tricky spot, man. You got to be careful with who you pay, a.k.a. the San Francisco 49ers and Brandon Ayuk. He literally played like 4 games on that contract, ripped his knee apart, hasn't been heard from since. It's a weird position to pay. I actually think the Cowboys are doing it right now. Look, you paid CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's great. He's generational. I think CeeDee Lamb is one of the best 3 or 4 wide receivers in football. You don't need another one on your team, right? And so you can supplement. But George Pickens, from his point of view, I don't know that he has reason to play this year, if I'm being completely honest. All right, Sammy, we got big stuff coming up in the next hour?
Yes, we do. We have David Benavidez joining me live, cruiserweight ahead of his title fight on Saturday night at 2:20. My guy Colin Yee will be jumping on with me from 570. And then I believe Marsh on the mic will be doing a little hit on SDFC coming up at 2:30. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. Stay tuned for the next hour.
Big Marsh on the mic. Can't wait for it. All right, it's San Diego Sports 760. More Motley Crue tickets tomorrow. We will see you then live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. The Padres are off today, but they start a weekend series with the White Sox tomorrow night at Petco Park. It's going to be Noah Schultz going for the White Sox and Herman Marquez going for the Friars. First pitch is at 6:40. We got 3 more potential closeout games in the NBA playoffs tonight. The Knicks are at Hawks at 4 o'clock, Celtics 76ers at 5, and the Timberwolves are visiting Denver at 6. Tomorrow night, we got Lakers-Rockets Game 6. Pregame coverage will begin at 6:15. The tip will be a little after 6:30. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You'll always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Going long with Sammy.
That's going to be hot.
In depth on the story of the day. Plus, it's warm in the hot seat. Now, it's Sammy Long.
Welcome, everybody, live. I'm live in Las Vegas ahead of Benavidez and Sergio Ramirez. Cruiserweight title fight. Super excited for that. Got a David Benavidez stopping by in about 20 minutes. My guy Colin Yee from AM 570. I co-host a show, Not Quite Ringside, on Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. with him. They'll be jumping by in about 20 minutes, breaking down the fight, where he wants to go in the future, and all that. I got Marsh on the mic. Some of you may be familiar with him. Spent some time on the station. He'll be jumping on at 2:30, talking a little SDFC live out at practice ahead of their showdown with LAFC. That'll be at 2:30. But first, we'll start with the pods. And yes, text line, we will get to my Lakers in a second because I will eat some crow. So text me 70470. Start your message with team. But let's start with the Padres. The Padres come off that everyone's riding high out of Mexico City. You're 1-1, but it's kind of hard to take much from Mexico City considering the ball was flying out. And you did split and you got to win against a good Diamondbacks team. Then you go take on the Cubs. And people are really excited Monday because you win 9-7. And I came on the show and I was excited how they won. They didn't win because they shut a team down 2-0 or 3-1, because we've seen so much of that this year from the Padres is against the Angels, against the Rockies, against some of these teams. They've been able to hold on to these small leads, and that's a great thing that the Padres have the ability to do that. But you can't rely on that throughout the entire season. 162 games. You can't sit there and go, we're relying on this bullpen heavily every single night. So Monday, when they won 9-7, and the bats came alive and they got down in that game off the Bastileros grand slam, I was impressed. You're like, this is what we wanted to see. At Petco Park, offense goes crazy, gets a W. Then the next 2 games, Cubs, PCA obviously wakes up in that game too. And then yesterday, it's all set up for us in the media. Tatis gets on base, Machado coming up in the 8th inning, and he grounds out. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say sky is falling, because I do think the Padres are a good team, and I do think they can be good teams. But we can't be upset now at the national media for when they talk about the Padres not believing in them yet. Because to be fair to those people, they haven't really beat good teams. When they've set up a competition against the Cubs, split against the Diamondbacks. The one series you would point to is the Mariners. They've struggled a little bit this year, but that's a really talented roster. I give them credit for it. And it's not to take away from their record, because at the end of the day, you would take the Padres being 19-11 and us sitting here talking about can they beat good teams versus them having a bad record but having beat a few good teams. So you can only play who's in front of you. We just talked to Coach Kentera, and he kind of had that sentiment. It's very right. But I think when we get to, it's really about the bats. We spent so much time in the offseason talking about the starting pitching. Can the Padres starting pitching hold up? And to be fair to the Padres starting pitching, for most of the time they have. Now, this week against the Cubs, they weren't quite as good. But I'm not going to sit here and blow up Randy Vasquez or Walker Buehler or one of these guys, because, I mean, when you're facing a Cubs team who 1-9, we're just talking about hitters. The Cubs bullpen has been killed by injuries. Brent can speak to this. He's a diehard Cubs fan. The bullpen's been crushed by injuries. The starting pitching staff has been crushed by injuries. But when you're facing a team that 1-9, PCA is batting 8. You get Nico Horner, Alex Bregman, Bastileros looks like maybe one of the next young stars in the game. So this is a deep lineup. You can't expect the pitching to just hold you up every night. You're not going to win 2-0 against the Cubs. It's not going to happen. They're going to score. When you face the Dodgers, you may hold them down for 6, 7, maybe even 8 innings. At some point, they're going to break through. So it kind of brings us back to the hitting. Like, the Padres didn't have their 3 aces going. And the Padres starting pitching staff is only going to get better because you got Giolito, who hopefully will be the stud we all want him to be. You're going to have Musgrove coming back at some point. Hopefully Nick Pavetta's coming back at some point. So the starting pitching staff, I'm not really concerned with because, frankly, if Vasquez is your 4 or your 5 or Buehler, like, you look at that and feel pretty good about where you're at. But there's no excuse for the bats. There's none. I mean, let's start with Tatis. This hard hit percentage, and I feel like we talk about it every day, but it's really wearing thin. I mean, he ranked 176 out of 180 players in terms of, like, loft on the ball. So it's great he's hitting the ball hard, but, it feels like simple mechanical changes to his swing would be able to change this, and yet we're over a month in, and we're still having the same conversation. So, and I get it. It's great that he's getting on base more, singles. He only has, I believe, 4 doubles on the season. Coach Kentera just had that stat. But he's great in right field, and that's fantastic. But he doesn't make $340 million. You don't pay him $340 million to be a great player in the outfield. So hopefully Tatis gets it together, but he's got to. Because when you face teams like the Cubs, you face teams like the Dodgers, when the Phillies are struggling right now, but in theory that batting order is great, you're going to have to put up runs. And so we're going to point to Fernando Tatis. Is it all his fault? No. But Machado, prime example, could have come through. We could have been sitting here today talking about how, look at the Padres. Look at the Padres coming off their schedule, playing a tough series against the Cubs. Tatis comes through, Machado comes through, and we're sitting here today talking about how you won a series against a very talented Chicago Cubs team who you very likely could see in the MLB postseason, and then Machado doesn't. And we're not even talking about Jackson Merrill. I mean, Jackson Merrill, to be fair to Tatis, I mean, at least Tatis is getting on base. Merrill is starting to get concerning because rookie season, he was unbelievable. And we sat there and we're like, this is the next superstar of the Padres. Then last year, he got off to that great start. Remember, just signed the contract a couple weeks in. The first week of the season, I believe he hit a couple home runs. Then he gets hurt. Season kind of marred by injuries. So you kind of just chalked it up to that. And now we're sitting here concerned about Jackson Merrill going forward. And this was the young core that is supposed to take you. So, again, it kind of goes back to the same old conversation we've been having. Do you look at it as a positive that the Padres are winning games and the stars aren't coming through, hoping that they will? But also, I'm not going to lie, is wearing a little thin, going, well, they're going to get it together. Tatis is going to get it together. Merrill's going to get it together. Machado's going to get it together. Like, it's a testament to A.J. Preller, the talent he's put around this team, that with the big 3 players not playing well, they have this record of 19-11. It's a testament. A.J. Preller, I really feel like, does not get enough credit for not working with a huge budget and simply being able to put a team out there. I mean, you're hanging with Luis Campusano. Shout out to Craig Stammen as well, because Mike Schilt did not really make much of an effort to be playing Luis Campusano, and there seemed to be a lot in the clubhouse there. A.J. Preller, Gavin Sheets, sticking with Xander Bogaerts. Xander Bogaerts playing some good baseball right now. Ramon Laureano has been exceptional. A.J. Preller basically put together this entire bullpen. And on top of that, gets Walker Buehler. We'll see with German Marquez tomorrow. But, like, some of these fringe signings that are buy low candidates, he's been selling at a much higher stock price. So I give A.J. Preller all the credit in the world. But back to my point about the Cubs. And it's a microcosm. I'm not trying to overreact to one series. When you play the Diamondbacks and you play the Chicago Cubs, you go 2-3 over a 5-game stretch, and 3 of those games are at Petco Park. It's the bats have to come alive. It can't just be elite pitching performances. Because in the postseason, if you're going to beat the Dodgers, if you're going to beat the Cubs, if you're going to beat the Milwaukee Brewers, whoever it's going to be, they are going to score runs. They're too good of hitters to just rely on your bullpen shutting it down. And back to it, it's great that your bullpen can shut these teams down, but that can't be what you're relying on what day is it today? Is April 30th. That can't be this early in the year. Because towards the end of the year, what we don't want to talk about is Mason Miller throwing an excessive amount of innings, or some of these guys. I know we're getting, Padres going to get Estrada back, and Adam just came back from injury. So the Padres are pretty stacked in the pen, and it's great that the aggregate is really playing well. But at what point are these guys going to start coming through? And we're going to see. You don't really get a chance to see it against the White Sox. Padres can only play who's on their schedule, but we do want to see more production from the big bats. All right, on to my Lakers. Oh, Lakers. I flew into Vegas last night, and I immediately went to the sports book, and a bunch of Laker fans watching, and I don't know. I'm trying to ruin my Vegas trip because the Los Angeles Lakers take a 3-0 series lead. And yes, they probably should have lost game 3, had that crazy turnover with Marcus Smart, gets fouled, LeBron hits the shot. But the last 2 games, and especially last night, it was disappointing because they came out on fire. They got an 11-point lead after the first quarter. And then second quarter come out flat. Halftime come out flat. And then at the end of the game, with 5-6 minutes left, they go on a tear, but it's too little too late. Comes down to a couple plays at the end. Reed Shepard swiping the ball away from LeBron. In my most frustrating part about last night, and it kind of takes me back to the Lakers from a few months ago, when the Lakers were having trouble in January. Reeves was hurt. It was Luka and LeBron. And even before that, the big 3 wasn't working because it was Austin Reeves' turn, and then it was Luka's turn, and then it was LeBron's turn, and it felt like it was just iso ball the entire time. And teams that had good elite on-ball defenders were able to take advantage of it. Teams like the Wizards and teams that just aren't on their level, don't have defense, the Lakers could take advantage of. But then in March, they figured it out. Going 15-2, they finally started playing complementary to each other. LeBron took a little bit of a backseat, started playing a little bit more off ball, running the show through Luka and Reeves, and kind of initiating offense that way. Last night at the end of the game, I don't know if they were getting a little antsy because they were just trying to get it all back in a couple swings, but LeBron took some ill-advised threes. I mean, didn't even look to run the offense. Austin Reeves took some ill-advised threes. Some people are killing Austin Reeves today for going 4 for 16. Personally, I think that's a little bit unfair. I mean, the guy just came back off injury. He had 22 points. It's crazy. He played 35 minutes last night in his first game back. And, I know he missed a few bunnies around the rim. You expect that to change from Austin Reeves. I'm not going to sit here and kill LeBron either because LeBron is the reason they won the first 3 games. But let's be honest, he didn't have a good night last night. I mean, he didn't have a good game 4, didn't have a good game 5. It felt rushed down the stretch. He didn't get his scoring going till late. And the Rockets are flipping on the Lakers what the Lakers were doing to them. The Lakers were trapping them in the half court, exposing the fact that the Rockets do not have a point guard. And now it feels like it's flipped. The Rockets are playing intimidating defense, forcing 15 turnovers last night, 24 in game 4, and so many easy buckets are going the other way for Houston. I mean, Houston could have put the game away late against the Lakers, and they didn't. They left it open. But considering that the Lakers were having trouble getting the ball across half court and then falling into this iso ball, considering if Luka Doncic is there, they can play iso ball. But he's not. So they need to start sharing the ball a little bit more. Luke Kennard having 1 point. I thought Marcus Smart, who's been excellent this series, only with 11, was not reining it in from deep. And now we're sitting here. I mean, game 6, it's the pressure has fully flipped. It went from Houston, how could this be? How could you be losing to a team that doesn't have Luka and Austin Reeves and maybe on the verge of getting swept, to now the Lakers are having to go into Houston as dogs and prevent a game 7. This is only the 16th time that a team has came back down 3-0 to force a game 6. And I'm curious how the Lakers respond because this feels like a JJ Redick type game. Everyone's going to point to Austin Reeves. Everyone's going to point to LeBron James. But JJ Redick came out and outcoached Ime Udoka for the first few minutes, or first 3 games of the series. Well, to Ime Udoka's credit, he's changed and he's evolved, and they're starting to work it inside. What is JJ Redick's counter? Because it can't just be iso ball from Reeves and LeBron. If that happens, the Lakers are probably going home. DeAndre Ayton, to his credit, last night had 18 points and was a dominant force down low. I'm curious what the adjustments are because JJ Redick got crushed last year for playing in game 3 as starters the entire second half. He came out, and I like JJ Redick as a coach, and through the first 3 games of the series has been great. Well, now he kind of got punched in the mouth, and all your backs are against the wall. What is the solution? What is the solution going forward for the Lakers? Because if they just run out what happened the last couple of nights, and they're turning the ball over left and right, this thing could get real dicey. And if it goes back to a game 7, it's a crapshoot. It's 100% a crapshoot, and it's who has a better game, Amen Thompson, Alperen Şengün, or LeBron and Reeves. So a lot going on in the NBA. Drama in Lakerland. Some really great matchups actually tonight in the NBA. 3 game 6s. But coming up next, David Benavidez, cruiserweight, one of the best young boxers in all of boxing, will be joining me, as well as Colin Yee, who's my co-host on Not Quite Ringside. Get your questions in for the champ. Text 70470. Start your message with team. Again, 70470. Start your message with team. Then we're going to have a little STFC update at 2:30 ahead of the big showdown against LAFC this weekend. This is Going Long on San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Welcome back to to Going Long, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. David Benavidez. Check. You hear me, Brent? Brent, you hear me? Way low. You hear me now? Check. All right, welcome back to Going Long, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Figuring out I'm going to have my guy Colin Yee jump in here in a second when not quite ringside. Colin, you want to throw that one on? See if you can talk. We got a massive fight out here in Vegas. Zurdo Ramirez, David Benavidez. And it's fun seeing boxing, like big-time boxing, back out here because David Benavidez, Cinco de Mayo weekend has historically been just a massive fight weekend for boxing. I mean, Canelo Alvarez has dominated this holiday for a long time. Colin, what are your initial thoughts on this fight?
Just a wonderful event. I mean, when you think of Cinco de Mayo, you almost think of it being the Super Bowl of boxing, with the Mexican fan base and the great fighters like Julio Cesar Chavez and Oscar de la Hoya and Canelo fighting on this stage, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. And we're in for a treat because David El Monstro Benavidez, Zurdo Ramirez, they're two of the best in the sport, and they're going toe-to-toe. They're going to war. And what I love is the respect that they have for each other. These guys, they were sparring partners, and I think there's respect for both of them, between both of them. And I think, we're in for a huge treat, Sammy.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun fight because, I mean, David Benavidez is a guy who we're going to talk to here in a few minutes. I mean, he has literally called out every name. He's fought Caleb Plant when he was a dangerous fighter, David Morrell. He's called out Canelo Alvarez for years, and Canelo has never seemed too keen to want to fight him. I mean, requesting things like I want $150 to $200 million, which is, Canelo's way of saying he doesn't want to fight. And it's not to take a shot at even Canelo, because Canelo over his career has fought so many top-tier guys. But you can tell, after the loss to Crawford, now Crawford, number one pound-for-pound fighter in the sport before he retired, but jumping up 2 weight classes, David Benavidez is naturally a light heavyweight. I mean, he has moved up in weight classes. You do feel like after Canelo's loss to Dimitri Bivol a few years ago in Vegas, that even like the power could even get inside on a David Benavidez.
Yeah, the thing about Benavidez that always jumps out to me when I watch his fights, the hand speed. Someone that tall, that big, that strong, able to throw off 8, 9, 10 punch combinations with flurries. I mean, Ryan Garcia-like hand speed at that weight, always so impressive. He also doesn't stop throwing punches. The conditioning is on another level. The ability to take punches, right? Like, has a huge chin on him. So all those things are what is going to make a difficult fight for Zurdo. And Zurdo's strong himself, right? He's been through wars. He's been through some tough fights, but he's never fought anyone quite like David Benavidez, who is one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the sport.
Yeah, he does feel like a live dog in this. In Zurdo, Benavidez is the bigger name in this fight, but Zurdo is a guy who is just he's an all-out slugger, and you don't feel like, even though both guys possess a lot of power, that there's going to be a knockout here, because both guys are so just experienced. And it's fun that this light heavyweight division, which sometimes gets overlooked because we always talk about heavyweight, and then we talk about 168 middleweight. Like it's kind of one of those, not no man land divisions, but sometimes it's not the big money fights. People at light heavyweight might try to move up to cruiser and in heavy or drop back down. And it's fun that light heavyweight, because there's been some great light heavyweight champions over the years. Feels like there's a lot of young influx of talent coming in here.
There is. And you look at what Zurdo did, though. He started at 168 like David, jumped up to light heavy, and now has jumped up to cruiserweight, unified the titles at cruiserweight. And this fight for cruiserweight, the cruiserweight unified championship of the world, David Benavidez looking to do something that no fighter has ever done before, win a title at 168, 175, which he currently holds the title, and now jump up to a new weight class at cruiserweight and win his third title. That combination of titles, though, has never been done before in the sport, and so we have a chance to see history on Saturday night.
Are you surprised he's almost a 4-1 favorite?
No. That's how good El Monstro is. The hand speed, the ability to throw multiple combinations, the punch output. I mean, we've seen fights where he's throwing 600, 700, 800 punches, even more, 900 punches in a fight. That's what makes him so unique, so special at this, in this sport, and one of the top pound for pound fighters in this sport. And really, you could almost say he's a little underrated with the way that the media has kind of drummed him up. I know he's always been in the conversation because of Canelo, right? And so he's been calling out Canelo. That fight was never made. This event, Cinco de Mayo weekend, Amazon Prime, DAZN, pay-per-view, this is going to put David Benavidez on the map.
It is amazing how he throws punches like a lightweight, but he's so big. Like it's a rare combination of speed and skill as well as power. That's going to be certainly tricky for Zurdo to figure out. This is going to be a great fight Saturday night. If you're a casual boxing fan, you might want to pay for this one because it's going to be an all-out war on May 2nd. All right, coming up next, we're going to try to track down David Benavidez, making his rounds around here. Plus, we got Marshall on the mic doing a little STFC update. That's coming up in a few on Going Long, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. The Padres are off today, but they start a weekend series with the White Sox tomorrow night at Petco Park. It's going to be Noah Schultz going for the Sox and German Marquez going for the Friars. First pitch is set for 6:40. We got 3 more potential closeout games in the first round of the NBA playoffs today. At 4:00, the Knicks are taking on the Hawks. At 5, we got Celtics Sixers. And at 6:00, we got Minnesota at Denver. And tomorrow night, we'll have Lakers Rockets game 6 for you right here on San Diego Sports 760. Pregame coverage will start at 6:15, and the tip will be a little after 6:30. Some people just know you can save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Welcome back to Going Long. SDFC, massive matchup against LAFC on Saturday. Super excited to get to talk to this dude. Haven't talked to him in a minute. Big Marsh on the mic. Marshall, what's up, man?
Hey, it's a great day to have a great day, Brother Sammy. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Good to hear your voice. So you were out there at at SDFC training. What's kind of the mood there? Obviously, it hasn't really been going the way SDFC wants the last couple weeks, but a rivalry game upon us Saturday night.
Oh, it's going good. I believe the energy was good to end the month of April. Regardless, the schedule didn't go good, lost all the games in April, but the mindset is to move forward in a positive direction. The energy was good. Players are, flying around during practice. So, I'm definitely hopeful to start May off on a positive note with a W against LAFC.
I know you talked to head coach Mikey Varas. What was kind of some of the things he was mentioning ahead of practice?
Well, touching base with Coach Mikey Varas, because I mentioned to him that this time last year the team was 3-5-2, or excuse me, 4-4-2, whereas we're 3-5-2, and we were an expansion team. So, we were the hunters, and now we're the hunted. So, he has a good mind state of saying, it's a marathon, not a race, and that making sure the players are in the right position to take advantage of opportunities and matchups, overcoming the injuries. So. I'm definitely feeling good hearing from Coach Mikey Varas that his outlook is positive to go into the month of May.
Do you sense, I don't kind of ask about the move, but do you sense with LAFC, it is kind of fascinating how SDFC has adopted that LASD rivalry that we see with the Dodgers, we see with San Diego, kind of see everything about between the cities. Is there kind of a heightened mood there because it is such a rivalry game?
Absolutely. I talked to a couple of the players, and they indicated that, they had a message for Frontier SD to come out and support. It's a Southern California rivalry game. They're excited. Again, starting May off on a positive note with a big W against the rival LAFC is going to set the tone for the rest of the season.
So anything else you saw there, just kind of covering the team recently? It does feel like such a big matchup because you pointed it out, and Darren Smith's been on our show talking about it recently about how the team is in a similar spot. Maybe we just look at SDFC differently in year 2 because of the expectations that were kind of, year 1, there was no expectations. So everything they did was kind of a big achievement. And now it feels like they're kind of getting held to that standard. Do you feel like the players feel that, like the kind of standard that's been set? Because I look at that as a positive that people are critiquing the team versus just, being happy at whatever they do.
Oh, absolutely. One thing, El Palatero, Andres Dreyer, indicated when I mentioned that you guys were the hunters, now you're being hunted. He said that's it's a good thing. That means you have some success now that people are hunting you, that when they see SDFC on the schedule, it's, oh, wow, they're not just the expansion SDFC. They were the number 1 seed and one of the best teams in MLS. So I think where they are at this year, with all the expectations, because it came out of nowhere, their high level of success from last season, I think it's going to help them with the leadership that they have there to help them get through this rough spot to have a good rest of the season. I think it's, to get that eye of the tiger back.
Marshall, thank you so much, man, for jumping on. Great hearing your voice, bro. We got to connect soon, and we will talk soon by SDFC.
Okay, thank you for having me on. You guys have a good one. Thank you.
Yeah, so, thanks to Marshall for hopping on. SDFC, it is an interesting spot that they're in right now because I kind of touched on it a minute ago. Yes, it is, like we hear what Darren Smith said, they are in a similar spot to where they were last year. People forget they had the big opening night win over LA, but they didn't get up to some great start, and they went down the stretch. And like this is always going to happen in any expansion sports league. I mean, it's kind of crazy that SDFC didn't have that much adversity last year. I mean, they won all these games. Then Milanowski leaves. That was a big deal. People looked at that and went, "Oh, is the scoring not going to be there?" Because he really was the star of the team. And they keep on winning. Then right before the playoffs, Chucky Lozano, that comes out, and he's not playing when they're trying to, clinch everything and get after it. Then Chucky Lozano, they still excel that and go to the Western Conference Finals. And then you open this year, and you got guys like Amal Pellegrino, and you got Luca Bombino. Like, you have so many young stars that have come up, and it feels like they didn't even face adversity for a little bit. And now all of a sudden, it's, you're hitting the rough patch a little bit. You're wondering where the scoring's at. We know Chucky's not there. He would make a massive difference. There's obviously a lot of beef going back and forth with SDFC and Chucky Lozano, and it feels like that relationship is fractured in and of itself. But but he would be a massive help back. Anders Dreyer, they've dealt with a few injuries, but it does feel like a big match because we can keep saying this about SDFC that, hey, they were here last year, they're here last year, and that's totally fine. But they got to start showing it out on the pitch because we have seen this feels like their first set of adversity that's hit them on the field. They've had adversity off the field, been kind of crazy in year one when they're trying to get it adjusted to all this. It didn't really hurt them in terms of the win and loss column. I mean, I'm here in Vegas. The Vegas Golden Knights went to the Stanley Cup final in their first year. The Seattle Kraken, the Utah Mammoth. Like, we've seen expansion teams have great kind of starts, and then it's about the adjustment. So we'll see what happens with that. SDFC, huge matchup coming up on Saturday night. Obviously, you're going to hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760 starting at 6:30. Another thing I want to flip to, while we're still waiting, David Benavidez working his 4 minutes away, working his way over. I don't know if people saw this. Fletch and I got into this a little bit earlier. Amazon Prime started a deal with Duke. So Amazon Prime is signed a three-game deal with Duke for like Gonzaga, Michigan, a couple different teams. And we've never seen this happen where Amazon Prime has gotten involved in sports like that, in college sports, where you're having these own deals. We saw this with Notre Dame. Notre Dame with NBC has had its own rights deal. So everyone's always clamoring for, why isn't Notre Dame in a conference? Why isn't Notre Dame joining the Big Ten when it logistically makes sense in terms of also geographically, and yet they're not, because they can support, because Notre Dame football is Notre Dame football, and they can do whatever the hell they want because NBC is willing to pay just that amount of money for Notre Dame. Now we're seeing this in college basketball. So now you got Duke, who is one of the blue blood premier programs in college basketball, getting their own deal with Amazon Prime, despite being in the ACC. There's Amazon has promised certain NIL opportunities for Duke athletes. So in this whole world where NIL was supposed to kind of even the playing field in that sense, or to even the playing field and create it where smaller schools have the same kind of chance. In college football, I think it's done that because college football has, allowed for, if you're a 5-star quarterback, you're not going to go sit on the bench at Georgia or Ohio State or Texas. You want to go somewhere where you can win and try to get in the playoffs and make a name for yourself. In college basketball, it feels like even though they're trying to make the tournament expand and they're trying to create more upsets going on, more upsets in the field, except we're seeing Duke get Amazon Prime deals. You don't see that with Vanderbilt. Like, this is going to happen to Duke. You bet Kansas is going to get in on this. I bet North Carolina gets in on this. UCLA. You're looking at the Blue Bloods, and then all of a sudden, the gap between the great NIL teams gets even larger because, I keep going back to that Duke Siena game in the 1-16. It had all the makings of a 16-seed upset with Siena. But then what happened? The bench came in. The bench is nowhere near the guys making millions of dollars of Duke sit on the bench. And now if these schools can have their own broadcast rights deals, this is extremely, extremely impressive. And it's certainly going to kind of swing college basketball in that sense. All right, coming up next, the light heavyweight champion of the world, jumping up to cruiserweight, David Benavidez, will be jumping on with me as well as Colin Yee. That's coming up next on Going Long San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Awesome. Welcome back to Going Long, San Diego Sports 760, live here on the iHeartRadio app. The current WBC light heavyweight champion of the world, David the Monster Benavidez, jumping up to cruiserweight. Thank you so much, man, for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me, man. It's a blessing, and I'm just very excited for this. We've been working extremely hard, 5 months in training camp, and now it's time to go this Saturday.
You became the youngest super middleweight champ in boxing history at age 20. Did you ever envision yourself moving up from 168 all the way up to now challenging cruiserweight?
Yeah, I definitely knew one day. I definitely knew one day that I would be here in this position, But when you start something and you're chasing greatness, you don't think of the end. You know what I mean? You think of the work that has to be put in necessary so you get put in that position. And I've been professional 13 years. I turned pro when I was 16. I've been boxing since I was 27 years. So it's just been a lot of hard work, bro. And I'm just blessed to continue to progress and to continue to have the passion in my sport and continue to motivate.
Fighting out in Cinco de Mayo weekend, just a huge fight week. All the legends have done it. Is there any extra pressure going into this fight because of that?
Nah, bro. There's no pressure. At the end of the day, when you love what you do, you're actually waiting for this. There's a little bit of butterflies, but the butterflies are good. A little bit of nervousness, not bad nervousness, good nervousness. You know what I mean? I just want to get in there in the ring already. And like I said, I put 5 months into work, so I'm 100% ready.
You have really certainly brought back the light heavyweight division and cruiserweight. Just curious, if you could go back to any era and kind of fight those pound-for-pound fighters, what kind of decade would you look at?
I wouldn't go back. No, but, I mean, the competition, there was a lot of competition back then. I think the best in not the cruiserweight, but the light heavyweight was probably like 1995 to 2010. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, if I was in that era, I'd still be chasing the greats or be chasing those good guys. But there was a lot of talent in 2005, or from 1995 to 2005. But if I'm betting on myself, I'm going all in against me versus anybody. I have a tremendous confidence in myself.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much, champ, for stopping by. It means a lot, and good luck Saturday night.
Thank you, champ. Appreciate you.
Thank you, brothers.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Take care.
That was the light heavyweight champ of the world taking on Zurdo Ramirez Saturday night. Colin, just you want to hop on here? I mean, what a great getting to talk to him, and him. It is kind of crazy. We just asked him the question, like, when you move up to 168 to all the way to cruiserweight, and to still kind of carry that same kind of power, is pretty unbelievable.
The thing that always sticks out to me about David Benavidez is the willingness to get in there with anyone, right? I mean, you had Bubu Andrade. Everyone was saying, okay, they're avoiding him. They don't want to fight him. He stepped in there, took care of business. Morrell, Plant, Durrell, all these names that he cleaned out. The light heavyweight division, of course, as you mentioned, the youngest super middleweight fighter. What he was able to do at those two weight classes, now jumping up to do something historic, to do something that possibly and hasn't been done before, to be a cruiserweight champion. We're in for a historic fight and possibly going to see history on Saturday night. Pay-per-view, Amazon Prime, of course, DAZN as well, and we cannot wait. I mean, you talk about a war, they're going to war.
And by the way, shout out to the MGM Grand for hosting this thing. This is unbelievable. Putting this up really means
a palatial estate.
Yes, I know. This is Vegas does it right, man. Vegas knows how to do all the big events. It is one thing. Like, a lot of fighters in boxing, it goes to UFC as well, always say, I want to fight the best, because they're not going to sit here and go, oh, I don't want to. And then we hear through contracts and through, everyone's a Twitter warrior. When it comes to actually signing the contract, not a lot of guys actually follow that up. David Benavidez is one of those guys who you believe it. You pointed out, Morrell, Plant, called out Canelo on countless occasions, been calling out Bivol as well as Better Biev, who have run this division for a long time, and now stepping up to fight Zurdo Ramirez. It just really feels like the sky's the limit for him. We also, though, a huge fight on Saturday morning. So if you happen to be up, if you can't sleep at 4 a.m., Naoya Inoue is taking on Junto Nakatani in Japan for probably the winner is going to be the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. Colin, when we look at that fight, Inoue is another guy who every test has taken on every fighter. Every time in front of him, he's, KO'd him, took him out. Every single challenge he's gotten after. And yet Nakatani might be his toughest challenge, because this is one of the hardest hitters in the sport. And to have it fight at the Tokyo Dome, first Tokyo Dome fight in 30 years, something like that?
Well, he actually fought Luis Neri there.
Okay, yeah.
But other than that, first Tokyo Dome fight in about 30 years. Of course, you think of Mike Tyson and his huge upset loss that we played on our show.
Buster Douglas.
On Buster Douglas, where Buster Douglas, the 40-1 underdog, defeated Mike Tyson. So 55,000. It's already sold out. The thing about this fight, Sammy, is yes, we know Naoya Inoue, a pound-for-pound fighter like David Benavidez, but he's going up against another pound-for-pound great right now in Junto Nakatani. And I think not only is there pressure just because you're one of the best in the game, but there's pressure because this is a fellow countryman. This is the Battle of Japan. This is the biggest Japanese fight in the history of Japanese boxing, in the history of the sport. There's so many things riding on this fight. And for Naoya Inoue, he's been through the fire, right? We know what he's done over the course of his career. Nonito Donaire was an absolute war. We've seen him get dropped by Neri and Cardenas, and of course have highlight knockouts against various different fighters. But he's never experienced an event like this, where this is not just for the boxing world, this is for your country. And that's something that I cannot wait to see. So really, for us boxing fans, Sammy, the best weekend of boxing that we have had in my lifetime. I mean, I cannot remember two mega fights on one weekend like this.
I know these are really, like, if you were a casual boxing fan, or you're someone who maybe watched in the 80s, 90s and kind of fell off over the years, this is such a great weekend to get back into it, because it is, and we talk about this a lot on our show on AM 570, 9 to 10, not quite ringside on Saturdays. Boxing and UFC are both in kind of two different places. It's funny how, the UFC has built a model where they have kind of cornered the market. If you consider yourself the best MMA fighter in the world, and you're not fighting in the UFC, it's kind of hard for you to stake that claim. And Dana White has done such an exceptional job of the champ in the welterweight division, you're fighting number one. Then you're fighting number two. There's no getting out of contracts with different promoters and letting that get in the way of the fights that we want to see. But then the UFC also is lacking some star power right now. Boxing is the complete opposite. Boxing has stars. Boxing's got a lot of big names in it. Tyson Fury, Gervonta Tank Davis, David Benavidez, Ryan Garcia. I mean, you can go down the list of household recognizable names, but we haven't always gotten the fights you want to see because of contract stuff getting in the way. But it does feel like with some of these promoters now, the last couple of years, boxing is trying to, probably because the UFC has gained so much popularity, get back to that where people are getting the fights they want.
I mean, over the course of the last couple of years, we've gotten those fights. I think it's slightly a false narrative to say boxing doesn't make the big fights anymore. Yes, maybe 10 years ago that was the case, or 8 years ago. But as we've moved along in the sport, Bud Crawford Canelo, that's a dream fight. You know, that
never would have been made a decade ago. But Mayweather Pacquiao was 4 years too late. They just let it marinate way too long.
You look at what Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, they gave us awesome trilogies. Usyk fighting Usyk fighting Fury in that titan of a clash for the heavyweight championship of the world. We've seen them. You know, Naoya Inoue has been making a lot of the unifications, the undisputed champion, 2 different weight classes. Same with Usyk at cruiser and heavy. Same with Bud Crawford, what he was able to do at 3 different weight classes. It's just been amazing. The sport right now is on an uptick, and it's time to jump on board. If you want to get into boxing, now's the time. May 2nd, let's go.
It is, and so much was made of, like you mentioned 10 years ago, Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd Mayweather is obviously, pound for pound fighter, one of the best in the world, one of the best of all time. The problem with Floyd is so much was put on having an O at the end of your record. It was he never wanted to give the O up. So, he didn't fight guys. Mayweather has a really good resume, but he also pick and shows when he fought some of those resume fighters, mainly Manny Pacquiao. Should have been done in 2011, yet 4 years later it's in 2015. So it's cool when you see a guy like David Benavidez, who literally is one after another taking fights that he's in jeopardy of losing, even though he's a favorite, because he's constantly challenging himself when he could easily sell out arenas fighting guys that are probably B-side level fighters.
Yeah, and Zurdo Ramirez, let's give some respect to him. Southpaw fighter, tricky, really tough style, is in there to bang, and he's able to take a punch, and he's going to give one back. And for Benavidez, I think that maybe the biggest question is testing his chin at cruiserweight. It's a new weight class for him. I know he kind of ran through super middle and light heavyweight, but going into cruiserweight, it's another big test. And, I believe that he's a good enough, great enough fighter to pass that test. But Zurdo Ramirez, he's going to be the teacher tomorrow and try and put a tough test against David Benavidez.
We text line chiming in. Sir Will here. Joshua versus Fury just got signed. That one, Colin, I'm curious your thoughts. How interesting of a fight is that for you? Like, is it still the money fight? Or even though some of the guys, haven't looked quite the same the last couple of years, Fury's been retired a couple times. Joshua's, both of them suffered 2 different losses to Usyk right now. Where do you look at that fight?
It's a 50-50 fight for me. I think both guys are still, both guys are old and out of their primes, but because both of them have some cracks, both of them we've seen be dropped. Both of them have taken L's. Because of those cracks, because of those losses, that's what makes it a compelling fight. If it was maybe a little bit more one-sided, say, okay, Fury, he's just a lot better right now than Joshua. I don't think that's the case anymore. Maybe there was a time where you said, okay, Fury, he's going to outbox him. But Joshua, we've seen his knockout power. And Fury is not the most, yes, he gets up, right? And so that's what we've seen him get knocked down and get back up.
Right, but he's been susceptible to being dropped.
Yes, exactly. And so that's what is compelling about that fight, because both guys have been susceptible to getting dropped. So we might see a couple of knockdowns in that fight. That's exactly why we love the heavyweight division.
Right, and even if it's not the quote, oh, everything's on the line like it was, and there is a lot on the line. You feel like Usyk, there's one more shot at Usyk. Both guys have lost twice. Maybe the winner gets him one more time in some of Usyk's final fights. But, yeah, the heavyweight division, even we saw Deontay Wilder, Derek Chisora, both guys way past their primes. it's always a fun heavyweight scrap when you got two guys with massive power going at it. All right, that'll do it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Oscar De La Hoya will be on with Fletch and I, and then with Colin and I at make sure to tune in 9 to 10 a.m. on Saturday, not quite ringside on AM 570 LA Sports, doing a full breakdown of the fight if you're into boxing and UFC. Coming up next, Schaefer and Sliwa. We did not get to the crossover today. They got kicked. That's what happens when Alan Slee was late. He gets kicked.
Oh, no, Alan.
Back there in studio. But listen to the boys. Coming up next, Schaefer and Sliwa, 3 to 6.